You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
8 seconds left. Fox has it. Ahead to Vassell, who goes in for the dunk. And the San Antonio Spurs have done it. There will be a new champion in the NBA. A new era has dawned. It's Wendy's West. The Spurs are going to the NBA Finals. There's Will Smith with the long right center. This is sent back. Garcia's at the wall, and it's gone. Boyd solo homer for the Dodgers. Swinging a high deep drive. He cracks this one. That is way out of here. Another one for Durant. What a month of May. The 0-1 coming to Beek. That's ripped to the left center field, sending Hairston back towards a warning track. He leaps. It's over. It's a home run. Joshua Overbeek sends a blast into the left field berm, and we're knotted up at 1.
Jordy from will lead things off, and she sends one deep. Awesome charge into it, and Jordy from leads off the game with a from bomb. What an opening salvo for the 4-time All-American.
Good morning. Welcome in Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Next Gen Mail Medical. That's DBM Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports HQ. What's up, DB?
How we doing?
Oh, we're doing all right. How are you?
Oh, good.
What?
Huh?
What was that?
I
voice?
didn't like my initial voice. I'm just like, this is how I sound? I suppose so.
It sounded pretty like regular to me.
Yeah, whatever.
Regular. What's up? Who are we pointing at?
Well, that's how,
that how Shane says
that's
it?
how Shane says it.
I knew it was like hamburger. I didn't know it was regular.
Yeah, regular.
Well, doesn't everybody say it like that?
Just like pitcher.
Yep. There's lots of Shaneisms.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think it's all on Shane. I do think part of it is there's some like small town Iowa colloquialisms that I think are more
Aren't colloquialisms like terms specific to a region?
Yeah, it's more pronunciations than colloquialisms. So yeah, that's probably
so
correct.
like his regional dialect.
So if he were to say, that's I don't know, it's hotter than a cat on a hot tin roof or something, then like that's a colloquialism. So I misspoke there.
Okay. So like bless
I'm
your
probably
heart.
not ever going to say that.
What colloquialism?
I learned that bless your heart means different things.
Oh yeah, there's certain parts
because I say that a fair amount.
Yeah. Well, Midwestern bless your heart and a deep South bless your heart are not created equal.
Yeah, I'm just a standard bless your heart guy.
I don't think there's a.
I have no hidden meaning.
There's less hidden vitriol behind your bless your hearts.
Yeah, speaking of like vitriol, I want you to know that I was not upset with you this weekend.
Oh yeah, no, that's fine. I was apologizing because I felt like I got pissy for no reason.
Well, because I have to be very careful about including Austin will never take the high road. So I have to be very careful about including because
did you see his face?
I just show up here, I put my head down, I work. You guys just always run your mouth about me.
Get those wood matchsticks and be like, and it is highly combustible. So listen, you're my dude. My but that dirty Gertie you got going on up here with the cookie duster.
You'll like this?
Look, man, I don't understand the phenomenon with those.
Is there a reason, or is it just a thing you're doing?
I didn't shave after the state baseball championships for a couple of days, and I don't need to be on camera anymore, so I just took it off.
I just wondered if maybe it was he's just trying to get a good look at it. So are you not shaving at all, or are you specifically leaving the mustache?
Well, I can't leave the goatee because I still need to, it actually doesn't grow like out like a beard. It just grows down like an Egyptian pharaoh. So I don't want to be doing that. So I do shave the little chin strap we got going.
Are you going with the goatee? It's coming in.
I know it's a little dark. I need to shave this down, but yeah, we're leaving the stash at least until we'll see how CWS goes, and if it's still nasty before we get to, because that's when I have to be on camera again. We'll see how it goes.
Hopefully, everybody at CWS is over the age of 18, because you are definitely giving me. I don't mean to stereotype, but you're giving me creeper vibes.
Well, you understand, with my role and how much I enjoy high school sports, that there's a reason I can grow my facial hair.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Tremendous call on that one.
So wait,
Tremendous call. That is giving me the willies.
do the cheeks not grow?
No.
Oh, okay.
I was telling Kenny this at kickball that I wish I could be deserted on an island for like 2 months to see if I could grow a beard fully, but I just don't trust the process in between.
I can't even talk. I mean, I'm horrible. My arms are naked. My legs are pretty non-hairy. My beard comes in as a summer beard.
Yeah.
Some hairs are over here, some are over here. Like they don't. So I get it, but the wispy cookie duster thing is. I shouldn't be so judgmental.
It's always wispy until it comes in.
A lot of baseball players are doing this now.
It is a big baseball
and
thing.
it is horrible.
I thought maybe
Paul Skeens can do it because he's throwing diesel, but
because he shoves.
Some of these guys, man, I don't understand. But good for you, Austin. You're already pot committed. Dr. Fiance apparently likes you.
Oh, she hates it. She hates this so much.
She gets better by the day. She really does.
She hates it.
So one last thing before I move off of this, Austin. Can she cook?
No.
Huh.
Firm no. No with a period.
He does all the cooking, I think.
Yes. I did the most trad wife life of all day yesterday.
That's the problem. That's the problem.
Austin, the trad wife.
I'm concerned about
what?
Just preparation and the schedule, and because we're gonna have to probably know Austin for a while, and I want the best for him.
She sent me out to the pool yesterday so I could look tan for our engagement photos.
Should go look pretty for me.
Yes. She bought new tanning spray for me.
That might be the least surprising thing ever. You can totally tell she's a boss. You can totally tell she's a boss.
I could just imagine that conversation. Like, hey, honey, I need you to look pretty for these photos. Can you go out to the pool?
We had a dead timeline for me to come back so I could start cooking too.
Yeah. Oh,
I had to be back by 5:30.
This definitely tracks. Does she now? I'm going somewhere with this. Does she gesture to you with fingers down? Like this?
No, not that I know of. No.
Okay. When that starts, better reestablish some dominance.
Oh, like the shoe?
Yeah. Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Hey,
that's fair. I think that's fair.
She'll put the finger up for me. Yeah. She'll be like, not right now. Not right now.
Does she do the Dikembe?
Yeah.
No.
Man, must be awful fire because I don't. Anyway, to each his own.
I was just saying his schedule is much more conducive to like meal prepping than hers is.
Yeah.
I think. I know he's got a crazy schedule, but
hey, I'm gonna need you to go look a little better. Go work on yourself.
It's like giving him some money and be like, why don't you go get your hair done?
Yeah.
Not to stereotype still, but yesterday she also went, so like, you're gonna go to the gym today, right?
Oh no. Wow. Are you getting thick shamed?
A little bit.
Oh,
it's fine. I bulked for a little bit. It got away from me. It's hard to unbulk. It's very difficult to unbulk.
That's why I was always on bulk mode. I was never a cutter.
Full-fledged bulk.
Always a bulk mode.
Yeah, we played 10 innings yesterday, and then I got roped into umpiring Zoe's game for free again, which is a good way to shed some pounds. It's having 8-year-olds pitch that can't find the strike zone, and because I'm OCD, I don't let the balls roll to the backstop, so I'm basically back there like a catcher. I'm like Pigpen playing in the dirt, trying to save these girls 58 minutes of their valuable softball time, because if I let them get it, they'll get about 1.5 at bats.
It's going to take all day.
Man,
do you have to wear gear for that? Okay.
No,
that helps with the heat, though.
It's a total accident.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should have. Speaking of shoving, a guy threw about 127 pitches yesterday through 10 innings, carrying the biggest boiler in America, and he didn't give a what. I was messing with the guys afterwards. I'm like, man, how do you do that in the heat? Like, man, this dude works 16 hours a day. That ain't no hill for a climber. I said, holy smokes.
How about the what the UCLA pitcher ended up at yesterday? 175?
Yeah. Which is a travesty.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing?
And
Savage knows better.
I think it was the most since 2019. Somebody had 179.
Yeah, well, they've seen people's arms fall off a lot since then.
No, I'm not defending it. I just
No, I know it. I mean, what a and I said this to you guys. I've said this forever, and I'm glad DeMarina's finally hopped on board. It is the most difficult, I think, of the major sports to win a national championship.
Baseball?
Yes.
Yeah.
If you win a baseball national championship, there is no heater. There is no like 4-game run. Like you earned it. It is a grimy grind.
I think the other thing that's really, really challenging about baseball is the postseason structure so much different than your regular season.
Yeah.
So you have to be like, you can't really be built.
If you're not in the winner's bracket, yeah. Otherwise, it's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Sure. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That makes sense. You are often put in positions that you are not put in the entire year.
Yeah. The suspensions and the game suspensions and the back-to-backs and the
the partial 2 games in one day.
Yeah,
and then you got to play again the next day.
That is so not ideal.
No, it's rough. I mean, it's pretty tough.
It is. I mean, you're just burning arms.
And it happened to a lot of people.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look at who's surviving and who isn't.
Yeah.
And I'm not piling on UCLA, but eventually playing with your food that much, that catches up with you. And I was fully prepared to have to eat, John Crow, but
for UCLA,
yeah.
I mean, shoot,
I just didn't get it.
They had to rally to not be the first one ever to go 2-Q.
Yeah. I just didn't get it with them for as gaudy as their record is. But gosh, you look at, who survived? What this is gonna be?
Cal Poly's moved on, right?
Yeah, this is gonna be super wonky in super regionals.
Kansas moved on, which I know everybody was kind of pearl clutching with Arkansas in their regional.
I thought that was a tough regional on paper.
It was. It was
statistically arguably the toughest.
Georgia Tech took a loss, so they have to play today against Oklahoma to see if they can advance. Florida State has to beat St. John's twice today to advance. What else do we have? Texas and Oregon both moved on, no losses. Georgia, Mississippi State. But there's some, we still
Carolina.
have to get Milwaukee, Auburn again, don't we?
Yeah. I told you.
You said Auburn was flaky.
Yep.
You said Auburn was flaky.
Yep.
North Carolina moved on, no losses, which I thought that regional was tough too.
Me too.
Like Tennessee, VCU, ECUs, that's a tough regional.
But they caught a break. They almost caught a Jokic and Roland Garros and guys getting hurt. The fact that Tennessee and ECU had to play such burners.
Yeah.
That's very conducive to the folks in Chapel Hill.
How about the Southern Miss Regional, where the one team we weren't like, hey, they're the because we ever talked about, hey, Virginia's playing really well right now. They got healthy, and then Jack State might be the best team in that region.
And nobody really likes Southern Miss, and lo and behold,
and then Little Rock is the one that gets out.
Yeah.
No loss. Like they didn't take it. There's nope, we're fine. Nobody's talking about us. We're cool.
Shout out Derek Fisher. It's gonna be there's some messy supers.
Oh yeah. We're looking at a potential Cal Poly like Kentucky super, which Kentucky shouldn't even be there. You're looking, you could legitimately have a Little Rock Troy super regional.
Yeah. How about Troy?
Man, I'm rooting for him against Florida. Don't tell B. Edwards, but
how about that?
I'm basically always rooting against Florida.
It's
a messy tournament already.
Just the arms, and it's a shame, man. You just didn't want to see Nebraska's regional play out like that, but it was inevitable, wasn't it? Kind of like your boy when he snaps his fingers. I am.
You know what the funny part about that line is?
What?
He loses.
He didn't know that at the time.
I get that, but that's like,
I mean, he looked to be in pretty good shape with all the stones.
totally understand that, but people use it as like a sign of doom and gloom, and it's like, yeah, he lost though.
So there's always a chance.
Yeah, there's a little bit of hope, you know.
Yeah, what was the percentile that Doc gave Iron Man? They're saying it was what did he say? 1 and something,
like 13 million or something. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll say it was a little bit. Yeah.
He's like,
Stark just looked at him and said, you better be right.
He just gives him one of these. That's Milwaukee today. Just, hey, we just need one.
Yeah, are they starting at 10 or 11?
Let me look at the schedule. I don't.
Somebody's got a 10 o'clock start, which that's not ideal either.
NCAA. How do we not have game times on here yet?
Nope, 11. So Florida State St. John's is at 11. Georgia Tech Oklahoma is at 2. Florida State St. John,
if necessary,
is at 3. Milwaukee Auburn is late, 5 o'clock. Troy and Florida is a 5-er. Kentucky WVU is a 5 o'clocker. And just how you drew it up, SC and A&M. And SC survives not starting, actually messing with their rotation.
Mm-hmm.
So I still think it should have worked out for Nebraska. I do, because Horn pitched his ass off.
Yeah, I don't think
that wasn't a
decision making
no,
problem.
and that's kind of why I liked Nebraska, because I thought they had quality enough starting pitching, and I get it. The bullpen's always going to come into play, but you didn't expect Nebraska to kick it around either.
No, that's the part.
They flat out kicked it around.
Yeah, it's the unearned runs that you have that you probably look back. I don't think I look back at the regional
8 walks. 5 in an inning. What?
Well, it's just the same. I know.
But you catch a foul ball.
Yeah.
And even the play to left, where I'm not sure what Overbeek was doing when he didn't get back to the bag, and then you get the overthrow.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of got caught watching it. It's just you couldn't turn the routine double play. Yeah. That's a team that was arguably the best defensive, statistically the best defensive team in the country.
I mean, they were like top 5 in most of the metrics, right? Like it was the walks thing is obviously early in the season was a problem, and you kind of go, hey, it sort of felt like it got cleaned up, and then it comes back to bite you in the regionals. But the kicking the ball around thing was not ever really a thing this year.
Yeah. Do you guys? And I figured it was Missouri's coach, right, that had the best presser with the challenges, when to challenge and when not to challenge. Didn't we play that on our show?
Did we play the Missouri presser?
He's basically like, I'm going to do a case study.
Oh, yeah.
And then you guys are like 0 for 5.
Yeah.
In terms of challenges and reviews. So I'll let you know when you can challenge.
Like, you don't get a challenge anymore.
I think the players went, maybe it's just a Lincoln Regional, but maybe they took the collar. I mean, with all the challenges, it was like,
it is.
Can we get this? Can we move this get this going?
It is funny, like the dramatic difference in like major leaguers. I feel like their hit rate on challenges is off the charts.
Because they're masterful with their own zone.
Yeah, like they just have it locked down.
Yeah.
Whereas, even though I feel like the umps are worse in college, and I don't think that's like controversial, so you should have more room to get challenges right.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like their sense of the strike zone is so much worse, which is, I don't think a thing people probably. I think people probably think there's a lot of more differences before that when you're talking about major league versus college ball. I would say that's probably one of the most like stark contrasts is like the ability to just know your zone.
Yeah. Do you get the sense if Nebraska fields it better, we're not having near as much discussion about the bullpen, are we?
Oh, probably not. No. I mean, no.
I mean, because just right off the top, I'm thinking 4 of those batters don't even come to the plate on Saturday.
Yeah. I don't think.
I mean, that was bad. Don't get me wrong. I'm not. I mean, you got those strays.
The walks, I think we're probably still talking about, but I think there's definitely, I would say, a pretty high probability that Nebraska's still playing today.
Mm.
And then we're certainly not having a conversation about the bullpen yet. We maybe are like, I don't know, but we're not condemning it and people freaking out about stuff.
So
we're certainly not there.
I thought their 2-out hitting on Saturday was not to par where it was either throughout the season. And maybe it was just the quality of.
I would agree. At home, they've been pretty,
especially at home.
Who did
But
matter?
I was asking myself internally, was that just because of the quality of pitching that they had seen throughout the season compared to what they saw in the final then, or what?
I mean, they were
the difference
seeing
was?
gas.
Yeah.
I mean, they were seeing some gas, but I just the kicking it around is the one thing I think it's really, really hard to swallow. There's lots of questions.
That's probably the thing that's going to haunt them the most, right?
Yeah,
is the fielding.
Yeah, it's just like softball. It's I want to know, and we'll talk. We have Nate at 9:30, right?
No, Nate's tomorrow. He's traveling today. We couldn't get him.
That's right.
Yeah.
Gosh bless it. I want to know, and I couldn't. I asked Jess, and and I get it. Basically, she's like, "Look, Player of the Year, like you don't bat an eye at it." But I wonder about the conversations behind who was getting the ball, when, and how that was going to work. Who's hitting, who's not hitting.
Yeah.
Like I just don't. It just cannot sit well with this softball team. There
was a part of me that wondered over the weekend. I was like, so we're just not going to see Alexis Jensen then? I get it. I get what Jordan Fromm is.
Player of the Year.
I also get that she was throwing a no through 5 1/3 yesterday. Mm-hmm. So like it's hard to pick nits here. But I didn't think she was overly sharp on Saturday. Mm-hmm. And that probably would have been not that you have one to burn, but once you get the win, the walk off on Thursday night, mm-hmm. right? I feel like that gives you a little bit of breathing room.
I would agree.
To say, hey, let's put Alexis out there so that we don't have to. Because I think Jordy went like 135 against Arkansas.
Yeah.
I get you had the day off. I don't know. There's a part of me. I thought this in real time, so this isn't revisionist history. We just didn't have a show on Saturday. I asked.
There's
a part of me that wonders about Alexis not pitching that Saturday game.
Like I tried to stay pretty locked, and I'm a couple people that were there close. I'm like, look, hey, not to go revisionist history. Walk me through the decisions. Mm-hmm. Like this is before anything played out because first of all, I thought Alexis was going to start on Saturday.
Yeah. That's the one that sticks out to me.
But how do you
tell Jordy you're not pitching?
And I'm guessing like at that stage, your players have to have some input, right?
I would think at least.
I
would think.
I'm not gonna sit here and say that's not the way it should be because I know it happens. Mm-hmm. I've seen players that are kind of hurt that we wait until
they say, "Hey, how you feeling?"
60 minutes before kick, and it's like, "Hey, can you go?"
Yeah. What do you have for me?
So this going with that and players' influence isn't because coaches ultimately play the players they trust.
Yeah, and you trust to a certain degree. You trust the players that are confident, right? That's a part of it.
And a Player of the Year.
Yeah, you obviously the ability's there, right? And
I wonder in the softball world, like what the thought process is.
I'll be honest, I don't have a good enough. Like I know
Kobe.
What Kobe say?
Kobe doesn't even have kids yet, nor do I think he wants them. And he's like, use your words. That's something I would say. Hey,
you use your words. You know
that's the worst.
You know the funniest one that I've used on adults a couple times, and I think it's pretty passive aggressive. But
I'm shocked.
My sister used to use it with her kids all the time. She'd go, helping or hurting?
Yeah.
Anytime there's a situation where a kid was doing something, hey, are you helping or are you hurting?
Ask my guys what my go-to is when they're in packs on the sidelines.
What's that?
Helping or hurting? That's like a 90%er. I'm dead serious. Because I always wanted to leave myself some wiggle room and in case they were talking about something that had happened on the field. But then you kind of get a sense on who's talking to who.
Pretty good idea of what's going on.
Look, man, we helping or hurting?
Yeah.
Sometimes I used to get the what do you mean? But I haven't heard that in about 6 years because I had to come unglued once. Like, what do you mean? What do I mean? Like, stop buying yourself time.
What do you mean?
What do you mean? No, Hubert. What do you mean? What do I mean? Like, listen to the goddamn question, Hubert.
What do you mean? No, I thought it was. Kobe brings up a good point. If Tech can take out Canada, then Nebraska should be able to take out. I mean,
What do you mean?
I have a hard time if I'm sitting here and obviously we love Coach Ravel. We've talked to her multiple times. It's really,
and let's not act like Jordy didn't seem pretty locked yesterday. That look, that demeanor reminded me of like, and Enrico put him on the phone because Ava Cusac's dad. I've known him for a long, long time.
Yeah,
and that travel team had like Ava, Ruby, Jordy. There was one alpha. You go watch her at Papio. There was one. Her demeanor yesterday reminded me of not Jordy Fromm. That was like old school pissed Jordy Ball that towed the rubber yesterday.
Yeah,
I mean, because she was shoving early.
Yeah,
but
you do want, like, at least I do. I wonder. Okay, obviously it fell apart in the 6th. You wonder, hey, if she doesn't have to go on Saturday and accumulate more mileage on the arm, maybe she's able to finish that thing off.
And Sadie, I haven't heard this yet. Although my official buddy, I hope he was joking. He did say he was joking about it being a fireable offense, but he certainly wanted Jordy to pitch around that at bat.
Oh yeah.
And I said something to Jess, and I love the answer. She's like, look. And I have to be careful with her because like she's this throat slitter. I said, I'm not second guessing. Let's just walk through this for a second. She brought up a really good point. She was like, how many times, and I don't know if we're saying intentionally walk, but she's like, look, man, how does Jordy Ball pitch around, or how do you intentionally walk? She's got to have less than 3 in her career. And I don't know if I would have been that. It's easy because I saw the result.
Sure, yeah.
Would I have been careful?
So here was my issue kind of going into that, and somebody in the chat brought it up. It did feel like in the couple at bats preceding that like the control wasn't great.
Yeah.
And so especially if I don't feel really good about my control, it's really pitching around somebody's really hard because you have to, like, we think, oh, you're throwing a ball. You don't have, like, you have to have even like as good of control, if not better control, to pitch around someone as you do to pitch to someone, I think.
Yeah.
And so if I'm not feeling great about my control in that moment, pitching around somebody is a really bad idea.
And they're in a,
now intentionally walking somebody is a different conversation, but if we're having that debate, like, I know what it is in the moment, but maybe somebody else needs to be in there.
Yeah, it's,
you know what I mean? Like, that's the tough part.
I'm just telling you guys, like, that feel, I empathize definitely with coaches that are in that situation, whether, I mean, we were playing Florida State, and I remember Calvin was dang, like, or Brooke and there's just a lot of times where coaches, like, it's not in the book.
Yeah, there's not like a script for it, right?
It's not in the book. You're trying to play situationally, the momentum, like who's got you there. And it's pretty simple to, like, now talk about what it coulda, shoulda, but I can't imagine being in that situation with a player of the year. Because I don't so much, and I was gonna say to Sadie, I don't so much have. He said, can you imagine taking her out with a no-no?
Catching an L.
Yeah, I don't so much. I don't think that's it. Right? I think you go back to what you did on Saturday.
My issue Saturday. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's,
because if you don't,
I haven't heard a ton of people say pull her with the no-no. She was cruising.
Yeah. It wasn't until that inning where things started to get away from her, and that's when the command started to go, which, again, it would have taken an enormous amount of conviction to pull her when you're like, hey, I don't love where the command's going right now. So I'm not really talking about that.
Were you gauging the swings?
I was gauging the swings, and they were starting to make some contact. You had a foul ball there that was down the line that you're
Guess you sat on that.
That you're like, it seems like they're starting to see it pretty good.
Yeah.
And then when Jordy was dialing it up, she was missing. Right. So maybe after you give up that first hit, you're like, let's bring Alexis in here. I could understand that. But my concern is more Saturday because then Jordy's got way more juice left on Sunday.
Yeah, BP says JF giving up the bomb was the most obvious outcome of that at bat. It was clear that they were seeing it well, and when she misses right over the heart of the plate, I mean,
I do agree.
I had a feeling this was.
I agree with Todd. I do feel like Alexis earned an opportunity to pitch in the College World Series.
So that one's going to be about the relationship that she has with her player, because that's a simple. That's
tough.
That's tough.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because you went out without using all your bullets.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's like, I liken that to, I remember, and this is when he was good, but I remember the Dodgers leaving, what's his buckets in the bullpen? Kenley Jansen.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And took the L without him even seeing the mound.
Absolutely.
And I was like, that would have to make you a little uncomfortable. But again, we're dealing with the player of the year, though.
So I do think it depends a ton on who's in the game in the moment, right? Because I go back to like 03 Red Sox, right?
Yeah.
Game 7, you've got Pedro's pitching. That's your guy. He's been the best pitcher in the league for like 6 years running, maybe one of the best stretches in Major League Baseball. But in that series, they had gone Scott Williamson, Mike Tomlin with a ton of success. Now, it wasn't a long track record, right? So it's not Alexis shoving all year long.
It's not Mike Tomlin. It's
Mike Tomlin.
Yeah, it is. 50. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Alan
Tomlin.
Embry.
Yep.
So Embry, Tomlin, and Scott Williamson had just an incredible postseason. They were knocking everybody out in high leverage situations. And you knew Pedro was fatigued and he was over his 100 pitch mark that he was starting to struggle at later in his career. And you go, hey, like, I feel like I left my best card up my sleeve still. Like, that's not a good feeling, right? That's not a place you want to sit.
And you didn't love the way that Stewart was swinging the bat.
No, I
mean, I've talked.
I didn't.
These conversations that were, and thank the Lord, these people like are responding to me real time, but they know how I think, right? And I'm very, very leery to not want to be revision.
Timlin, not Tomlin. That's why.
Yeah,
Timlin. There we go. Sorry.
I wanted to. I knew that wasn't right.
Yeah, you were right. The mic was right that Tomlin wasn't Timlin.
I'm like, are you thinking 15? Number 15?
Yeah, Timlin. Sorry.
Yeah. The real time, it has to be.
Oh, it's yeah.
That's a tough sitch.
I mean, I think about the one that sticks out the most to me. And
did you want were you thinking Nebraska couldn't score? Did you want Jensen to get ABs? It's not like run support was really good.
I mean, she created her only
right on
run
cue,
support.
Ken, exactly. Like,
yeah. No, again, Sunday, I can live with Sunday, right? I really can. Saturday is when I would have liked to see Alexis. Like, give Jordy the little bit of, hey, we've got another game after this regardless. That's what Saturday is, right?
Alan, that will be all about their relationship. How Alexis feels.
She put something out on social media already. She seems okay.
Yeah, because, and I remember, like, there's been some really, really hard conversations. I've seen running backs not playing bowl games. Brooke came out and that was a gut feel.
So
and you have to have those conversations. Sometimes you're not afforded the luxury to have them during.
No, you need to have them beforehand. You better know before.
Here's the thing, real time, you can't go back and get it. So I do think Tommy knew that he had that the next series because you don't really have time to smooth it over.
Yeah.
Right? It's 7 minutes and some change to go. And it's like, hey,
we gotta go.
We're going back with TF. And that's a feel thing.
So the interesting thing about that, and I do think there's a correlation to what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
Is because it started Tommy, right, which was controversial in the Orange Bowl.
For some.
Publicly.
Yeah.
Because of Brooke had been the one that got you there,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. And I'm privy, like, don't let me do your thing.
From a outside perspective.
Yeah, do your thing.
Tommy started, which was controversial because he hadn't played in a few months.
Yeah.
And Brooke had led you to this point.
Yep.
Tommy doesn't play great early. Brooke gets in the game. I think you could tell me if I'm wrong here. I think there was a version of the game plan. Brooke was getting in at some point, no matter what. Is that accurate?
Yep.
Okay. So Tommy doesn't start off great. Brooke gets in the game, has some success, throws a really bad interception in the end zone, goes back to Tommy. Like, there's a version of that if you guys don't come back and win, where the narrative is that Tom Osborne bungled the quarterback situation, right? Because I remember, listen, I'm 7 years old. I remember
you could have said that at 17-9.
Yeah. It like there was a moment, and I was very young, and I've gone back and watched this game a million times, and I think to myself, this thing is so messy the way it's being handled.
You know, I had
or the way it felt like.
You know, I didn't
handled.
watch that until COVID.
No, I didn't.
First time was COVID.
So you hadn't seen it for a quarter of a century.
Oh.
It felt messy.
Yeah.
The way the quarterback thing was handled, right? So there's a world in which if you guys don't come back and win that game, we're sitting here having the same conversation that we're having about
a game we lost that people don't know, the juggling behind the scenes, who to play, who to sit, who's healthy. Big 12 championship game.
Sure.
Like
in 96.
It's just it's what we're talking about, like real time.
It happens all the time.
It happens a lot.
And second, if this goes,
when it works, they're genius. When it doesn't, this is what we'll do.
Yeah, when it doesn't, we have these conversations about in-game management and stuff like that. Like, I don't think people, we know the result. I don't think people appreciate how messy that Orange Bowl felt in real time with quarterback management.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh,
right?
I agree.
So, like, if those results go the other way, we're having very different conversations, not just about the game, but about who we think Tom Osborne is, right? Because that would have fed into the can't win the big one thing.
Yep.
Right? So I understand the consequences of this going one way or the other. If Jordy gets through this thing and throws a no-hitter and goes...
How do you think it looked when Brooke comes in and throws the first TD?
Right. You're like, hey, why didn't that dude start the game?
Oh, yeah.
Right? And then he throws the interception, and you're like, why was Brooke in there at all? Right? Like there's the give and take of this, right? Yeah. And if Jordy goes out and finishes the no-hitter, we're having a very different conversation today. Oh, what a genius move to ride with your horse, right? To go with player of the year, obviously. Now you're back in it. You have this whole, and you still have Alexis Jensen, super fresh.
I bet you that day from start to finish, and AJ, I know you wanted to say something, was extremely difficult.
For Ravel or for everybody?
Coach Ravel.
Yeah.
It seemed like there was a lot of decisions that had to be made.
Sure.
Like right away.
I think that there's something similar to it. This whole conversation you guys are having sounds so similar to the Andy Jackson conversation we had with Danny and her decision in that Elite Eight match.
Yeah.
Like they're so extremely similar to it.
And Danny chose, the pine, and people were not enamored with Andy sitting that long.
Yeah. And because that's a great example, Austin, because obviously that's much more recent, and we had the result go the way we didn't want it to go.
Yep.
Right. And I remember the conversation of like, hey, you probably need to get Andy Jackson in at some point.
That was in the group text.
Right.
I think it was Jacob that was like,
I don't remember if it was Jacob or Matt.
Somebody was like, this been too long.
Hey,
it might have been Demo.
Hey,
it might have been Matty.
That's your best player. Maybe we lock in here a little, but so that's a great example.
Do we look at you, Kobe? You think we look at that differently? Like he says DBK had the stones. I don't know. Neither one got the result we wanted, and it might be easier to say stones now. But I think
I don't think we were saying stones in real time.
No, but I think his point is he wants, because he's been I think he wants the adult to have had the conviction.
Sure. Well, I mean, listen. Just because they made
that's what I hear.
Just because they made the decision we didn't like or that we maybe disagreed with doesn't mean they didn't have conviction. I think we make that mistake sometimes.
Oh, that's fair.
Because Shavers had conviction. I think we think of it in our terms of like, was she wishy-washy of going between Alexis and going between Jordy? Whereas it may have just been, hey, Jordy is that
TK, I still think we're talking about Saturday.
Yes. I am mostly talking about Saturday.
Yeah.
I can listen, if you want to talk about conviction, pulling Jordy Fromm after she gives up the first hit, that would have been some level of conviction to be like, nope, we're done here. right? Like that would have been holy cow, right? Because at that point you go, and I gotta, this because you played baseball, right? But there's a weird, and I don't know if it's the same in softball. I'd assume there's some carryover. There's a weird emotional thing that happens when you lose a no-no late. Like, how many times do we see somebody lose a no-no late, like 6th, 7th inning or later, and then all of a sudden they give up a dinger, you're like, wait, what happened?
You just saw it. You saw it 3 weeks ago with the A's and the Angels.
Yeah. Like, it happens a lot.
Yeah, lost the no-no and then gave up the 2-run ding-dong.
And I know no-hitters are a little more common in softball, so I don't know that it's the same emotional reaction. But I imagine in a Women's College World Series situation, that sort of elevates it to, like, you're not throwing no-hitters in the College World Series very often, right? So when you lose that and looked like some fatigue was setting in, we mentioned the control wasn't necessarily what you wanted it to be late. I do wonder if emotionally you have to have and listen, Fromm has been through as many experiences in softball as you can ever
as anybody we know
imagine, right? And so maybe you sit there and you go, hey, she's as equipped for this situation regardless of what just happened.
Chuck, did you feel that real time? I'm just curious.
But it would have, I think there is a version where you go, hey, like that's a weird kind of emotional thing to happen.
I mean, was it like a Rocky Drago moment when
the Russians cut?
You see, he's not a machine.
Maybe.
He's a man.
I mean, I do feel like there is that. I do feel like there is that emotional kind of shift between teams when a no hitter gets broken up.
Yeah,
I don't know. There's a lot in there.
I was just telling you guys. And this started when we talked to Jess last week. Did you understand what I was trying to say when Williams kept getting hit?
Mm-hmm.
And ESPN, their side, like Holly breaks in and she's like, hey, we need to give this some context.
Yeah.
She'd been hit 4 times all year and she's been hit 5 times already.
Yeah, this series.
And I felt like that was odd. I'm like, we usually don't invite dust, right? The broadcast usually doesn't invite kicking up dust.
Sure. I do think that was important context, though.
But it seems like on the heels of everything that's been going on where you're showing parents' tweets on social media, like, does softball enjoy the spice, the drama? It seems like it.
I don't know. It does. I don't know if it's a softball thing or if it's a Texas Tech thing. Because a lot of this surrounds Texas Tech. I mean, at least in the most true, obviously, but it seems like Texas Tech has sort of a special place of vitriol within the community almost. So I don't know if they would be doing this outside of Texas Tech.
Yeah. Just watching yesterday, Action Jackson, do you have the video pulled up? So Nebraska's playing, right? It's 1-0. They're throwing a no-no, and they get into panel and what's going on, and just how they spot, shadow, and highlight.
Yeah, the Tennessee head coach Weekly.
Yeah, whether she said good game or not, they're doing the slow-mo. Holly Rose talking about reading lips.
Yeah, which it appears she does say good game for what it's worth.
Yeah. And she goes, hey, I heard this. She clearly said good game. Nothing's changed. We waited until we get to the end of the handshake line, and then all of a sudden,
now we're upset about something.
It jumps off.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and then I thought the press conference is maybe where do we have the actual press conference where she said
yes.
Okay.
About Weekly?
Yeah. Let's play that. We can use the audio on this one, right?
Yes.
Okay. Let her rip.
Say to you in the handshake line after the game.
Yeah, we were walking through the line just saying good game, and she said that I made a mistake instead of saying good game, which it's kind of crazy, like celebrate with your team, and I just think it's funny she's still thinking about it, but it's old news, whatever.
We also have the Tennessee and Texas Tech coaches' responses.
It doesn't appear that she's telling the truth. Go ahead.
Yeah,
AJ.
go Tennessee, please.
Taylor panel in the handshake line after the game.
No, just good game. Like I say to every player, good game.
Which, again, appears to be accurate.
And was substantiated by your dugout analyst.
Yes. The video evidence, they zoom in on her lips at one point. There's no reaction from that panel is 6 there. There's no reaction whatsoever in the handshake line. And
Good game. There it is.
You zoom in on.
Good game.
Yeah, it appears she's saying good game to every single person, and panel doesn't react in the moment.
No, give me Texas Tech, AJ.
Nothing. So it happened behind me, so I don't know exactly what happened.
It's interesting. It's just one of those sports where, and maybe it enhances the television product.
Sure,
but they embrace all of this, and it is. I can't wait to talk to. Well, let's not act like I said that. Scratch that from the record. When we get Rico, I'm going to ask him about if he can feel the intensity, because he sees a lot of regular season softball. In high school, you absolutely can feel it.
Yeah,
this is nothing new. This is nothing out of the normal. It's just. But it's widely accepted.
Yeah, there's like active animosities.
Other sports that carry themselves like this we typically don't like.
Which is also
we don't like the brash, we don't like the bravado. We're quick to say let's just play ball.
Yeah.
It's this part of the culture.
We also, what's funny, Damon, is that you say all that, and I'm thinking back in my head doing like state championship interviews and everything. The most, like for the female sports, especially, right? Volleyball, we do not get very emotional reactions or interviews or anything. Softball was 100%. Not in track and field. Girls wrestling, yes, especially. But softball, I mean, when Lincoln Southwest won in that A matchup over Millard North, because a lot of people had written Millard North into a title. Sorry, Ravi. But I mean,
all right, we
can't win everything.
We got baseball. It's okay.
But that was a huge thing for them. Like they had a visceral, like real reaction.
Oh yeah. I tell parents all the time about like which sports are the most intense. I'm not sure softball has a peer. I don't.
Why do you think that is?
I think high level volleyball like rivalries can.
I don't know, AJ. I don't know.
So I have a theory, but I'm not as deep in that world as you are. But it feels like everything in softball is sort of on a razor's edge in terms of the actual game.
Well, you see how quickly some of these games flip.
Right. So you go from, and I talked about this last week with the walk-off home run with Ava, right? Where I mean,
you get to say things and do things and chant, and it's just it's different.
It feels like the game itself, though, is always sort of teetering, especially in like high-level matchups. It never feels, for the most part, to me, when you've got, it doesn't feel like anybody's ever really got a firm grasp on the game. Like it can flip on you in a hurry. And even the home runs, like I talked about last week, they feel like hockey goals almost, where it's just boom, gone, right? Like you don't always get a lot of build up to it. You know, Stewart yesterday was actually probably the exception where you're like, I feel like something bad might happen here. But usually you go from pitchers cruising to that ball is pretty good contact to the ballpark is so small that thing's out. And it just always, to me at least, when I'm watching these games, it feels like there is such little margin for error, even when somebody is dominating the way Fromm was yesterday, that I think that lends itself to things being a little more emotional when you're that close to like things just flipping on you at any given moment. That's kind of my working theory.
Jimmy Neutron, you would agree that softball is the most intense?
Yeah, I would say, and I'm not around softball as much as I'd like to be, but especially just from the high school level where I am. But what you exactly said, when I first started here at Hurrdat and I was doing some coverage, I was going to Creighton softball before their new facility was made. Some of the things that you hear them chanting and just going about, you're like, how much time do you have to practice this?
Listen,
like, where do you come up with this?
It's forever though, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I can't believe some of the things that are said. It's like, and everybody's cool with it.
Yeah, nobody really. Well, apparently they're not.
And
that
I
cool
think
with
it's. Do you know why I think it is though, Jimmy Neutron? I think it's because it starts at such a young age. Like it's just
that's just
part
the
of
culture
the fabric.
sport. Yeah, I mean, it's like when you see Dominican ball players versus American-born ball players. Like they act very differently.
Oh yeah,
and American ball players don't always have a great like reaction to it, but it's like none of the Dominican guys bat an eye. Like that's just how you play ball. Growing up.
I think it's surprising how the networks like play into it.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, we saw an ejection yesterday and with Arizona State, and we couldn't wait for him to get off the field. Right. It's like, listen, you got to take the walk of shame. Nothing should have been allowed to happen until he left.
Yeah. Yeah. Until he was back in the clubhouse.
Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
And so then, I mean, and to Nebraska fans' credit, I think they were pretty good. I didn't see any projectiles. I mean, it's not like a major league outfielder pretending to want to play catch with a kid and hurting his hand or anything. But I'm like, what? Toronto, like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
But that's why you shouldn't throw things back from the stands. It caught him right on the thumb. But anyway, not to derail the conversation. I find it fascinating that even the network embraces the back and forth. Like they're literally showing like texts from or tweets from parents.
Yeah, that part was a little weird.
You know what I mean?
It's
like who else is doing that?
That part felt the most different in terms of coverage. Like I don't know. We watch a lot of basketball. When there's dust ups or things in Chanchik lines, like they'll go kind of Zapruder film on it a little bit.
Yeah.
I get that, but you don't usually get the tweets from parents up on the screen. That's where I was like, oh, it does feel like we're doing something a little different here.
Yeah, but
also you also don't necessarily.
That's just Mike Chuck. That's how Bianco. That's how he talks. When he said, Haymarket felt like Friday night in the SEC. It's that backhanded compliment.
Yeah.
But again, why can't you get your pitch comm to work?
Yeah.
Like you talk about gamesmanship.
Yeah.
Well, it's too loud. We can't hear versus it's not working.
Yeah.
No, you just can't hear.
Yeah. That's not.
Stop saying it's not like
that's not a technology problem.
Then who are you fooling?
I mean, probably never mind.
It does it does curtail home field advantage too. That was why I wouldn't say I've never seen that. The amount of games, the lengths that they went for the pitch comm.
Mm-hmm.
And when you kind of see Ole Miss players kind of chuckling a little bit, like I'm not sure what their catcher was doing. He must have thought something was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Because he's like, I'm like, they're not being serious. They just can't hear.
Yeah.
Which was understandable.
Right, but that's part of the game.
It's just part of it.
Yeah,
it's just part of it.
I don't know. Lots of players have done pretty well for a really long time without pitch comm. Figure it out.
The old man.
Just it's a luxury, not a necessity.
What do they say there, Bart?
It's a luxury, not a necessity.
Okay.
They used to put down hand signals from catchers.
Okay, bougie.
Be like, hey, one is fastball,
which was. I was laughing last week when Coach Day said that they only had 2 bunt rotational plays because if you watch this guy give signs,
yeah,
it's a good 15-second thing. I'm like, what was the indicator?
He's doing the Macarena over there. We don't know
it is very rhythmic.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's the indicator? Then I'm trying to figure it out.
The funniest part is that
he touch his belt.
The funniest part is that it only got the 2.
That was probably the most frustrating thing I think for me watching baseball was they just kicked it around.
Yeah. No, I get that.
We'll talk about the pitching and
yeah.
Starting, I don't know. I thought Friday, Saturday, you had earned better.
Yeah,
I did. Horn was sensational.
Yeah, Horn was really good.
Like that was clearly the Yasa Horn thing.
That worked. I think that worked.
Yeah, he's a gamer. I mean,
yeah, no, I mean, you'd like it if he could find this version of himself more frequently.
What do you say, Jake? What do you mean, JK? I think he's probably seen the gamesmanship too from the pitch comms. It's a little. I'm not going as far as you as to say basically, hey, we played this game a long time without it. But it's
a luxury. Like
it does get abused.
It's a luxury item. If it doesn't work, whatever. And listen, if you want it to be because they do this in football sometimes when the helmets aren't working, and they're like, hey, we're turning them off for both teams. I don't care. That's fine. Doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
Just don't make it this whole thing. Like if it's not working, turn it off. Go.
And if only there was some other way to communicate with your pitcher. Jeez, man. If only baseball had figured this out so many years ago.
To steal a visit.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean? That's like an extra. That's like the gamesmanship. I was like, who's falling for this?
Apparently, dumbass umpires.
No, they were actually pretty good this week.
Yeah,
I thought.
I mean, they were fine.
Dude, their challenges kept getting upheld.
I felt worse about the softball umpires.
It's tough.
I mean, Fromm threw 3 pitches in a row in the exact same spot.
Was that online or was that in the group? Everybody was mad.
That was in the group chat. Well, that's what I said in the group chat because
they looked identical.
They were in the exact same spot. Yeah. I thought all 3 of them were low. Yeah. Or no, it wasn't Fromm. It was pitching to Nebraska in the top of the 7th, and I thought all 3 were low. 2 of them get called strikes. 1 of them calls the ball in the middle. So you have no idea what the next one that looks exactly like that is going to be called.
Yep.
That's, horrifying. And then you had one last night with Texas Tech and Canada where that thing is like dead shoot down the middle and it's ball. It's like, are you sure about that? And then the called 3rd strike, I was like, that was less of a strike than the one you called a ball a second ago. What are we doing here?
Were you more excited? First of all, were you in tune with the bases loaded yesterday morning? Versus bases loaded yesterday, Nebraska on the suspended game.
Oh, yeah.
Both times, did you feel about the same?
Yeah. Yeah, just this wasn't going to happen.
Oh man, I allowed myself to.
I didn't feel great about how they were playing either all the way back to South Dakota State on Friday. Was that Friday? Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't love what the bats looked like. It didn't feel like they were doing a great job of like Austin said, of figuring out how to score with 2 outs the way they had all year in Haymarket like that. I didn't feel super comfortable. And then with the resume play one in the morning, you're just so out of that's such a weird spot to be in.
Yeah.
Right. You're out of sorts. You're up way earlier than you normally would be. Like we talked, because what time did they resume that game?
Ole Miss 10? Was it 10?
Yeah. So that means you're up at least 7.
Ole Miss resolve from going late to the suspended game to closing that out. I mean, it's
super impressive.
That's pretty mentally tough.
If you're looking at from a Nebraska standpoint, like what time the minimum 7 a.m.
Did you like just being in the dark till like 11:30 at night on what we're doing with that game?
Yeah, it's like, hey, are we going to do something? Or
I know they communicate with the network. Like HBO, man.
Yeah. They told you, like I'm sure they told the network.
Ask Ben and Nick. I'll call it anytime, forgetting that they're actually working.
Well, we are.
I'm like, hey man, I need some insight here.
We are going to talk to Nick here in about a half hour. Nick Handley, play-by-play of Nebraska baseball, to get kind of a wrap on the regional. And then right now, we're going to talk to Sam McKEWON from the Omaha World Herald next on Hurrdat Sports Live.
That was a big point of emphasis for these guys, obviously, over the course of their entire career, was to have a chance to play in the postseason. I wanted them to experience it. I wanted the fans to experience it because, like I said, it's been 18 long years since it's happened. I've kind of heard from some people some anecdotal stories about when they were young kids and, just thinking that was going to be the thing forever. And, it's a special year when you get a chance to play at home, and it stinks that we're not still playing. I mean, I'll be honest. Tomorrow's not going to be a very fun day, and it's because I don't get to coach these guys anymore. And that's what stinks. But the fans. Thank you for showing up and being supportive. These guys gave you a brand of baseball to be proud of.
Well, that's why it took us so long to come out of the locker room, because there were a lot of people expressing that genuinely. And, this is my 40th year in coaching, and this is my 40th day of this. And it was really special. It is really special. But I will tell you, one of the things that Casey Hoffman said in that room just now is, she said, the joy that came back in my life, and she wasn't even talking about softball, through this team. And we made a pact. We read a book this year. It was called The Carpenter. And there are 3 tenets to The Carpenter. And it's about loving and serving and caring for one another.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Righty to righty, Caban delivers, and Fromm swings, lifts a fly ball to center. Henry going back to the wall. It's gone! It's gone! Jordy Fromm gets the Huskers on the board. 2 pitches into the game with a home run.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Next Gen Male Medical. That's DBM Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports HQ. We are joined now by Sam McKEWON from the Omaha World Herald. Sam, how are we doing this morning?
I'm good. How are you?
Green eggs and ham. We are okay. Did you guys get rain last night?
No, we did not.
We got
dumped a lot.
Yeah.
We were getting hammered at my house.
I know you're not a grass guy, Sam, but just humor me for like 10 seconds.
Okay.
All right. At what point will you start letting your yard turn whatever color it wants to?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know that I will. I don't really. So just so we're clear, I'm a what you would call a natural grass, low maintenance kind of person. So I don't do a lot to my grass. I don't water my grass much, so it probably doesn't take that long to get it where it needs to go. And so my part in community service is saving water that I don't use on my grass.
That delivery.
What a great answer.
Sound super sincere.
Did it sound millennial to you? That's what I was going for. Sort of the upspeak. My part, anyway. I'm not a millennial. I'm very, very late Gen X.
Oh, that's pretty funny.
That's pretty good.
All right, I'm gonna give you your pick of the. Well, I want to start with softball because a lot of hand wringing, a lot of consternation. WWSD. What would Sam do? Would he have revisionist history where you saying you thought, I lost a $10 bet. I thought Alexis would start Saturday. She did not. WWSD.
I don't think the starting decisions are the ones. I mean, I understand why you start Jordy 2 days after the win over Arkansas. Our writer Justin Frommer went back through the season and showed it. So Jordy I don't know how many pitches she threw against Michigan in the Big Ten tournament, but she came back 2 days later and beat UCLA, which is just as good of a team in a lot of ways as Alabama, a better offense. And so, she had the full-on day of rest. So there wouldn't have been, if that was a super regional series and Jordy had pitched on Thursday and Alexis had pitched on Friday and then Jordy would have come back again on Saturday, I don't think anybody would have batted an eye. And then based on her results Sunday, I think starting her was the right decision. When do you make the decision to maybe pull her? And could that have been done before the home run? I think I would say that's always a feel thing, and I'm not second guessing. I'm not, but I am saying that that's the one where you're. Now other people have said no, Alexis should have started on Saturday. It did feel like Nebraska went into the tournament with two great pitchers and really used mostly one. And so I get all those things. I totally understand that argument, and I do think that Alexis would have been just fine against Alabama. Whether or not she would have given up, she may have given up the exact same runs, though. We have to be honest. I mean, it wasn't like, two of the runs were a byproduct of errors. And so really, early on, Jordy was off in the second game, and she gave up the home run, but I don't know if Alexis would have done better. So I think it's more on Sunday when the no-hitter is gone, hit back-to-back hits. Is that a moment where you're like, you know what? Whatever they've gotten onto you now, and so you don't maybe have her go one more. But that's my opinion, and I don't know that I think that's not the prevailing attitude that I have from either A, the softball weekend, or B, the baseball weekend. I think in both cases, you get up against really, really good pitching, and I think Nebraska's softball offense, was struggled a little, and Nebraska's baseball offense, until they got deep into the relievers of Arizona State, struggled a lot too. And so I think it's more, I would say, hey, when you get in those settings, you got to find a way to score runs. And I think Nebraska probably, Jordy had to provide her own run support. You've got to, that I think is some of it. Not all of it, but some of it. And then, of course, Rhonda got second guessed a little bit, but she's done this for a long time.
Yeah.
And again, if you think about it from a super regional standpoint, you would not have batted an eye at Jordy pitching on a full day rest. If that had been game 3 of a super regional or a women's championship series. So it wasn't unorthodox what they did. I just don't think Jordy had a good inning against Alabama.
Sam, generally speaking, are you one of those guys that likes to have human error as part of a talking point in competition? Whether it's umpires or strike zones or officiating in NFL games or refereeing in NBA games, is that part of it for you?
It would be, yeah. Yeah, I think we've moved to a very I think officiating has gotten worse the more that you put review in, because I think officials are making calls based on, well, the review will correct me if I'm wrong, which I don't love. I think officiating probably used to be better than it is now. So yeah, I mean, I understand that with human error. Sure, I'm comfortable with that. I know other people aren't as comfortable as I am with it, but yeah, generally speaking, there have been obviously some calls over the years. I think Cardinal fans could think of one in 1985 that they think of, but there have been calls over the years that have been really unfortunate. But by and large, I probably prefer the pre-review era.
Sam, when you're looking at between baseball and softball, which version of their season ending did you think was more representative of how you felt about the team over the course of the season?
Interesting question. Baseball. Yeah, I think, and here's why it actually wasn't represented because Nebraska didn't come back, right? And that's what they did all season long. They came back. They get down and they would come back. They did it twice against Maine. They did it against Penn State. They did it against Iowa. They did it against USC. They did it at Minnesota. That happened again. And then teams they're playing were just too good. I think that's part of it. Is that Ole Miss pitching was too good, and 11-1 is too much to come back from. If it had been 7-1, it's possible that Nebraska pulls a miracle.
Same thing. Yeah. Like I was like, oh, until the Grand Slam, this might be all right.
Yeah.
That's
right. Right. I mean, so I think, so it's representative because Nebraska did kind of what it's done all year, which is not play great in the first 5 or 6 innings. And in the case of the Ole Miss game, they actually played really well for the first 5 or 6. But they fell behind. Their offense didn't get it going right away the first time through the lineup. Same thing with South Dakota State. Nebraska was not great against SDSU. I think Will Bolt was proven right in who he started because I don't know if he thought his offense might struggle, but it did. And so, yeah, you run into – I wrote about it a couple weeks ago where I'm like, I don't think Nebraska's going to face the sort of bumbling Big Ten defenses that it faced.
You said that out loud to us, and you used the term bumbling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, and what's interesting is Arizona State bumbled around a little bit. I mean, they did. They were feeling it, but Ole Miss didn't, and Oregon didn't in the Big Ten tournament. Oregon shut Nebraska out 8-0, and I kind of feel like one of the storylines going forward, and this is true for UCLA too. Although USC may advance today, and Oregon definitely advanced, although they're familiar with the teams they played, and I think that helped Oregon. The Big Ten's got to find a way to up the quality of baseball because Nebraska did not face, before they played Oregon, they did not, between the time they played USC and the time they played Oregon, they did not play a good baseball team. Well, they maybe played Kansas in there. I don't know, but they lost to Kansas, at Kansas 6-2 or whatever it was. I don't know that they faced a lot of great competition once they got into league play. They didn't get to play UCLA. And I think then you get in a tournament style thing and everybody's pretty good. Everybody's got a pitcher. And all of a sudden it becomes a lot harder to win. And so I don't know if that means Nebraska's got to schedule a 3-game series late in the season with KU or Oregon State and just make that a standing element and say, you know what, we're going to play Oregon State every year. And we're going to go out there and they're going to come here, but during our bye week, that's what we're going to do. Or the Big Ten reduces its schedule down to 27 instead of 30 games. I don't really know. But I just didn't feel like the Big Ten adequately prepared Nebraska or UCLA for what was going to happen. And I'm not trying to blame the Big Ten so much. It's just UCLA had a lot of great escapes too.
Yeah.
During Big Ten play. And you knew going in that it was not going to be that easy for them. And then they had this word quirk where UCLA, the majority of UCLA's losses came to mid-major teams in California. Whether it was whoever it was St. Mary's twice in the tournament, but it was other teams, Sacramento State. And,
Bakersfield was one of them.
Right. So they struggled against teams that were probably not that intimidated because they were playing guys that they probably played in high school. And so those teams out there, and if you want to receive the thing and you want to be honest about it, then I don't know. Then Holy Cross probably goes to UCLA instead of Texas. If you want to be fair. St. Mary's probably isn't the worst team in the field, right? I don't think they are. I know they lost a couple to Creighton early this year, but they're probably not the worst team in the field.
That was SDSU.
You could. And maybe that would have been more fair for UCLA. I don't know, but I don't feel that way about it because I think you got to try to save money where you can. And it makes total sense for SDSU to go to Lincoln and for St. Mary's to go down. I mean, it's like 5 hours away, but to go down to Los Angeles. So, you know, I'm sure UCLA may be frustrated with the draw and say these teams are way better than Holy Cross, which is probably the worst team as it turns out in the field. But Milwaukee and South Dakota State lost 17-0. So, you know, it's an interesting conversation. I think the Big Ten I think Oregon's going to be in Omaha. That's what I think. I think Oregon will be here. They were playing really good baseball all through Big Ten play, and I think they have the offense. So I think they're going to go down to Texas and knock Texas around. And irony of ironies, the Oregon journalists who wanted the Big Ten tournament out at the West Coast will be coming to Omaha.
Let me ask you something, Sam. You said baseball in your answer, probably the most predictive outcome. But you got to admit, none of us expected that defensive performance, right? I mean, they were significantly better defensively for 98% of the season than we saw this weekend.
Yes, but the stage, and the teams they played. Those were really, really good teams that they played. And so they got a tough draw. I think I put on Twitter, Mississippi was an appropriate number 2 seed for where Nebraska was. Arizona State is obviously a way better 3 seed. I mean, that's than a true 3 seed. I think Arizona State was probably shocked that they were a 3 seed and that they were a 3 seed in this region. So the stage was harder. The teams they were playing were better, and so all those things kind of come into play. On the Nebraska softball side, you know, again, the team was defined by Jordy's excellence and pitching excellence all season long. They had a few miscues there, and their offense wasn't quite what they hoped it would be. And earlier in the season, their offense was pretty good in some of those big games, and it was good against UCLA. Very good against UCLA, which is the best team that they played in the Big Ten. So, I'm sure Nebraska softball is disappointed with where they ended up. I thought they had a chance to win the national title, but they had an incredible season, and it was really like a toss-up every time they played, obviously. Every team they were playing was just as good as they were, and so it's kind of, you know, whether you get the key hit or the key pitch or the key defensive play, and I thought Nebraska played fine, but I think they expected to win the national championship. I kind of expected what Nebraska baseball did to do. You know, it's not a knock on them. They had an incredible year. I think Will Bolt was definitely coach of the year in the Big Ten. The sum was greater than the parts. I think they took the program up a rung, and now I think you got to go even another rung. And I think I've written this, but I'll say it here. If Nebraska full scholarships their program, they're gonna be among the top 20 teams in the country, because there aren't going to be that many teams that do that. Kansas may well make the College World Series. I don't know that Kansas is going to be funding 34 scholarships. I don't.
Yeah.
And so, you know, this might be about as good as KU gets. And I'm not knocking KU. I'm rooting for them. That's the team that I would love to see win the whole thing, and they got a real shot at doing it. But the 34 scholarship reality, if Nebraska does that, they are going to be among the best teams in the country every year. And the haves and the have-nots in the Big Ten are going to split quick, because there's going to be Big Ten teams that are like, we are not doing that. Good luck. Hey, you can have 15, but we're not doing 30 or 34. Whereas Nebraska and UCLA and maybe Oregon, those will be the teams that do that, and they will separate themselves from the pack really quickly.
Sam, let me ask you, on a jump to Elite 11,
right,
about 2 quarterbacks in particular, Taylor and then Braylon Moore. And with Trae Taylor, MVP, kind of what he means. Read your stuff this morning about kind of the trajectory and how you, not trajectory, I don't want to steal the article, but you said grading the program's progress, even in what I liked in the write-up was you're talking about as it relates to 2026. And I've always kind of found that interesting, because 2026 is its own deal, right? Where he needs to have success Everybody whines about the schedule. Nebraska clearly doesn't. He's made his tweaks. They're clearly ready to go for 2026. And I've been asking this question since December, probably, where I said, can you look at the 2026 season independently of the 2027 recruiting?
Well, you can if you're just analyzing it from this group of guys is going to be here so long as Trae Taylor keeps it together, right? Like, I mean, I think Trae's a big part of it.
It was a fascinating piece as you kind of pit those not against. You talked about those almost interchangeably.
So I would say that Trae and his family, and I've talked to his dad, and Trae said this several times. His dad said this to other people too. They really like Matt Rule. They really like Glenn Thomas. They didn't make the decision for money. There are other schools that offer them more money. I think there are still schools that might be offering more money, although I think Trae's starting to get, I don't know how all that works, but I think they want to come to Nebraska. Mm-hmm. And I think one of the reasons they want to come to Nebraska, the main reason, is Matt Rule. And Rule has, I think, a talent for connecting with young guys, with young men, young adults, kids, whatever you want to call them. Jay Dillis doesn't like us calling them kids. But, he has a talent for that. And so he's a pretty good recruiter. And not every head coach in Nebraska has been a good recruiter, but he is. Mm-hmm. And I think what Trae said out at the Elite 11 to 247 Sports was it would take an enormous reason for me not to go to Nebraska. The head coach is gone kind of reason. And his dad told me the same thing. Like that's where it's at. They're here if Matt Rule's here. And so I think it does change the calculus. Now look, I don't think Nebraska's going 3-9, but 3-9 is a whole different conversation. Like you really have to think about it if you start having the kind of season that nobody expects you to have. But I've also heard people go, look, anything on less than 8 is not acceptable. And I'm like,
no.
That's not true. Like you have to be mindful of where the program's at and the contract that Rule has. And the fact that, again, if recruiting stunk, I mean, if they were hey, they got 4 commits. Nobody really knows what's going on. They don't have any money. That would be different, but it doesn't. It doesn't stick. They're on a roll right now. Their offensive line recruiting is as good as it's been a long time, and they need to do some work on defense. And you got recruiting guys that you talk to on your show, like Tim and others, that do a much better job of filling people in on that. Broadly speaking, they have work to do recruiting defensive players right now. They know that they do, and we'll see how they turn out. I don't know how it's going to turn out. However, offensively, they've got one of the, 7 or 8 best classes in the country. And I'm talking the entire group, the lineman, the quarterback, the receiver, the other guy's not committed. I think not really. Tay Ellis, I think, is a very good player, and Amir Brown is really good at running back. Mm-hmm. And so they have a really good class. And so, you have to take that into account. And yes, the way that you look at 2026, it isn't necessarily a bridge to 2027 if they have a really bad season. But if they keep it together and they play good football, and I think it's important to go beat Iowa. Beating Iowa would help. I think beating Washington would help. You've got to try to win a couple of games that are toss-ups or games where you might be an underdog. People disagree with me about how good I think Washington's going to be. Strongly disagree with me. Some people think Washington's not going to be very good. I disagree. I think they'll be
up
very good.
The offensive line, they should be fantastic. I just don't know. And I like Williams. I just can't put my finger on what it's like to want to be there than not want to be there. And then some of the way that they played last year with really good players. I mean, you had Coleman and Boston, and there were just times it was like,
yeah.
But you do return. Your offensive line looks to be pretty good on paper.
It does. And as I said to Michael, who doesn't quite agree with me about Washington, I'm like, Washington always has good running backs and receivers. Name me the year they didn't. They always do. So I don't know who it is. And granted, I went through and looked at the depth chart and looked at the guys, but they always have a receiver, and they always have a running back, and they always have. And you can go back 30 years, 35 years, and that's true. It just doesn't change. So I always bake into the cake that Washington's going to come out with a running back that runs a 4.4 and a receiver who's big and catches the ball, or they got a guy that runs a 4.4 at receiver, and they've had those over the years. So I just assume, and maybe I shouldn't, that Washington will always have one of those guys from Los Angeles who can come up and make a play. But at any rate, I think you got to watch Nebraska and assess them based on understanding. Look, if Calandria is pretty good this year, and then in theory he'll get the 5th year with the NCAA, if you think you can run this thing back with him next year, or Trae's really good, which I'm skeptical that any true freshman quarterback can get that done, consider the long run. The long run being 3 to 4 years. What does that long run look like, especially with a kid like Trae in your program? And Trae Taylor is genuinely talented. Not that Dylan wasn't. Dylan Raio's got a lot of skills. Trae is a more talented quarterback.
Well, he's more the natural quarterback, right? I mean, he's played it longer.
Yes, he's more. He is that. I think his motion, while often dropping to a sidearm, it does, or something pretty close to it, is something that he has developed and honed through his natural movements and his natural cup front. Whereas Dylan is still kind of, and Dylan's throws a pretty ball. So to be clear, Dylan sometimes is throwing a little bit like a shortstop or a catcher. So he'll come over the top, then he'll go to the side. Trae's arm is more of a whip, and the ball really comes out of his hands, and it goes real fast. And so he's got that, and he can run, and he's real sharp in the pocket, like he knows how to manipulate a defense and all that. So Taylor is really, really good. He's the best quarterback out of high school that Nebraska signed in a very long time, maybe since Eric Crouch. And so do not underestimate his ability. It's very, very high. And Nebraska needs to keep that into account, because not every head coach can walk in here and get that player. Matt Rule has done it twice, and it's not something to sneeze at.
Let me ask you about. It sounds so funny to say with his accolades and accomplishments, but he's most of his era he's sandwiched in between playing against Jet Tamala and following Anthony Rizek, who was prolific statistically. You look at Braylon Warren's accomplishments at Elite 11. Hard to say he's flying under the radar. Maybe it's an attention thing, and I get it. He's going to Missouri, but you read about what we see every other day here locally on the Elite 11 level. What do you think he's got to do? I mean, is it state title? Like, what do you think he has to do to kind of figure out the proper pecking order for just how talented he is?
Well, he's super talented, and he's the top quarterback in the state until Trae Taylor moved to North South.
Oh boy!
And by a wide margin. So now the two teams are going to play each other during the regular season.
Week 9.
Where do they play?
I can't even remember. I think it's at our place. I don't know, to be honest. I just know it's week 9.
Got it. And then the chances are very high that in the Class A finals in Memorial Stadium. So, I think those two games are important, I suppose, for his local profile. Nationally, I think he's really well respected, and Missouri's a great program. And
I think it's interesting that and this is just our perception, and everybody's always looking for a slight or an edge, right? It just feels like he's kind of an afterthought for how good he is.
Well, the story last year, and you know this because you're part of the high school scene and coach that team. The story last year was all North South all the time, and our traffic numbers would have reflected too that what people really wanted to talk about is Millard South a referendum on a whole bunch of things. And so whoever played for Westlake last year just didn't get much of the story. I mean, it was all Millard South.
Yeah.
And that's what people wanted to talk about too. Like that's all the fans talked about was Millard South, Millard South, Millard South. And so now this season, I think that's going to change. I think you're going to have 2 teams, but invariably people are going to talk about Trae Taylor because not just because he's following, a 5-star's, footsteps, but Trae is very visible and very public. And I don't think that that's ever been the Warren family's, perspective or goal is to be, Trae's tweeting last night. And it was a good tweet, to be clear, happy about what happened at Elite 11, ready for Millard South's practice in the morning. And Trae does a pretty good job of centering the teams that he's on. So he's good at this. He is going to promote Millard South a lot. And so it's going to generate a lot of attention and interest because he's just good at that. He wants to do it. So that'll be something to watch. So I think it's going to be an interesting high school season because these 2 teams are finally going to play each other in the regular season, and then they're going to play each other again, and we'll just have to see. I think those are going to be the keys, right? Like who's going to be all Nebraska quarterback in Omaha, who's the Super State quarterback in Lincoln. I think it'll come down to those 2 games because I think their statistics are going to be very similar. I think they're going to have very similar statistics. And so it'll come down to who wins those games and maybe who wins the final game.
That's Sam McKEWON from the Omaha World Herald. Sam, appreciate the time as always. Great stuff. We'll talk to you next week.
Take care.
Thanks, Sam.
That's Sam McKEWON from the Omaha World Herald.
You know the funny thing?
What's that?
At least today, I think all anybody cares about is prep.
To answer your question, I don't know if it's State title or bust, but he needs to look like Trae Taylor looks when he plays Trae Taylor, like in the head-to-head.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to
because that was the difference last year, right?
Be a heck of a season.
Is when you guys played Jet.
Yeah,
he didn't look like Jet.
Yeah, right.
So that's the difference.
Yeah,
if he looks like Trae when he plays Trae, then we'll start having that conversation. I think. Got Nick Ganley coming up next. Talk a little Nebraska baseball here on Hurrdat Sports Live.
I don't think it's really hit yet that I'll never lace up my cleats again to play college softball and with these girls. But yeah, that's what I got right now. This was such a special season. Each girl had their hand all over it. And I just thank Nebraska from the bottom of my heart for bringing back my spark, because it was gone for a long time, and that's something I'll carry with me for the rest of my life. And that was the biggest thing that I got this season. No loss, no win will ever compare to the joy that I found again. It's something special. This was the best World Series I've ever experienced, and it's not even about softball at all. It's being with these girls and this team and these coaching staff, the whole coaching staff. Each girl brings their own different kind of superhero talent to the table, and each girl is just full of love and joy, and experiencing the biggest stage that college softball has with these girls is something I'll never forget.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
The 0-1 coming to Beek. That's ripped into left center field, sending Hairston back towards a warning track. He leaps. It's over. It's a home run. Joshua Overbeek sends a blast into the left field berm, and we're knotted up at 1.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DBM Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports HQ. We are joined now by Nick Hanley, that voice that you heard on the clip there for Nebraska baseball. Nick, how are we doing this morning?
A little tired, boys, as you can imagine. But you know what? Yeah, I'm in there, right? It's a Monday.
Hey, if you need
in the pen right now,
if you need any encouragement, the vest is off the charts. That is a DB look. I think you look sensational. So I'm going to start there with a compliment.
You guys know who was rocking that all week long? And maybe one of the most soothing baseball influences that we are just very thankful to have in our state. Kyle Peterson. That guy looks like he's getting ready to walk on the green and the tee box every time he sets foot into the broadcast booth up there at Haymarket Park. It was great to see him and Carl Ravitch out there. But yeah, KP, he does it better than anybody as far as rocking the vest and owning it. Like, I mean, he can call 27 innings. He could call, and then he could go out and probably hit 27 holes as well.
So, you know, the interesting thing about you saying that is I was complimenting him on his shoe game watching the reveal for baseball. And he's so cool, yet naive enough to know that he wasn't cool. He said he just bases it on what his kids tell him. Yep. And I was like, Kyle, your shoe game. I said, well, I couldn't tell if they were the Shell Toes or the Stan Smiths. And he goes, well, I could tell they weren't the Stan Smiths, but my daughter liked them, so I went with. And I was like, oh, the humble brag. Yeah, his shoe game is elite.
Yeah, and he's unapologetic about it all. He's just everything he does, he oozes with baseball confidence and presence. Man, that was quite the guy to have 2 booths away from us.
So I'm sure the guys tell you, like, I'll call it the most inopportune times, right?
Yeah, you're calling Kyle right before he's going on the air there. What's going on there? He goes, why is Damon Benning calling me right now?
I called Ben 2 seconds before that, which is even worse. But here's the thing. At what point did you want better clarity on when the game was going to resume or if it was going to resume the other night? Like, is that too much to ask?
No, it's not. But you guys have been around the CWS functions long enough to understand that for whatever reason, there is a dragging out process that I don't know what the end game is behind it. I don't know if it's, okay, we got to make sure, first of all, the players and the coaches know first. Then there's that wave of information that has to work its way from the top all the way down. And apparently the folks that are in the press box are on low on that totem pole when it comes to getting that information. And then there are times that we had the scenario, but you got to sit on it. Like, okay, well, we can't make it official yet. And then one of the scenarios we had ended up being wrong when they made the official announcement too. Like, oh, we're going to resume it at this time. And then they're like, okay, well, we at least know what we're going to say when they give us the all clear to say it. And then when they gave us the all clear to say it, it was actually a half hour later than what they had originally told us. So I mean, your guess is as good as mine on that.
I told Robbie about 11:15, 11:20. I'm sure he would. Most people are just wanting to call it quits. I'm like,
yeah.
That's where the radio is such an advantage, right? Because and I've been with, you know, whether it is the CWS or even Ben is not afraid to like, hey, can you tell us something? Like, what do you know? What, you know, and you guys have such good relationships with people that would be in the know, whether it be Coach Bolt or whomever else. Like, you guys aren't afraid to fire off texts either. So it's like, I just don't. Once I gauge your temperament, and now I know because you're like, what in the world are you doing calling? Like, I'll put you on the call list, but you just let me know that's not probably pretty safe.
No, I just thought it was funny. It was, I think it was before yesterday's game, before we got on the air for the Arizona State game.
Tell you what I actually wanted.
What?
I wanted to know the sentiment on Katsky from a confidence standpoint.
Okay.
Well, it's just getting.
I got you. You're getting the dugout vibes. You wanted the dugout feel.
Oh yeah, you should see me with softball. It's even worse. Because if Jess doesn't want to talk to me, she's just going to say stop or don't call me or whatever. But Like, at least you guys will humor me for a while.
Does it immediately go to voicemail, or do they let it ring for 5 or 6 times and just let it naturally go to voicemail like they're away from the phone? I want to know if they swipe on the watch or on the phone of ignore. Hope you guys can hear me. I think I lost you.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live. Apologize about that. A little technical difficulty there, but Nick Hanley still joining us from Husker Baseball play-by-play. Nick, I believe you're in kind of the middle of an answer there.
I'm trying to just steal the 7-second advantage I have of text. Like, Kyle checked on me. He's like, hey, is everything good? Like, that's good for him. I've been around him long enough to know, like, this better be important because I'm not sure why you're calling me. But he pawns it off is everything good?
Yeah. You good? You good?
I was like, yeah, I'm fine. Won't happen again. My bad.
You're okay. You're okay. So, I'm sure we're all wondering, like, hey, if Damon's calling, he knows what's going on right now. If he's calling, this has to be on like a level 8 or 9 of importance.
This was a handful of years ago. You guys were at Schwab, and and I'm right below you guys, and there's an extensive meeting going on in the outfield with Coach Bolt, and I'm like, I asked Ben, I go, like, we're sitting around, having a drink. I go, what do you think he's out there talking about? Like, I'm pretty sure they're getting reamed out there. What do you think?
Yeah.
And Ben's like, I don't know. I'm up here. They're out there. In typical B-Mac fashion. You know what I mean? It's like his delivery. You guys, you fit right in with Jared. Like, it all just works. And now you've added Kyle, and he's the exact same.
Right.
It must be a baseball thing.
It might be. I think it's being around that group too. I'm glad you brought up Jared Meister too, because Jared's awesome. Jared is fantastic, but you want to see a little piss and vinegar. You get Jared on extended duties with not only covering sports information for Nebraska, but having to really coordinate a lot of things. He does it so well, and you guys have been around them enough. Administration and sports information, they do it so good. But that's when his level of, if you're going to ask a really dumb question, you probably want to wait later, because that tolerance for really bad questions or questions that you should just know better, you're probably not going to get the best response. And I'm not saying he's going to chew you out or anything, but he might be just a little bit more dismissive.
And you know how,
at least to us, he is. He doesn't entertain our bad questions.
Keith Matt is super sarcastic, right? And it's like, I'm like, God, I said, I love Jared as his delivery. I said, he is so funny. And Keith looks at me and he goes, why?
That's a great response.
Anywho, level of more surprised that Nebraska couldn't get the bats going with any sort of consistency, or that they kicked it around as poorly as they did?
I would say that's a great question. I would probably say the latter. I think, especially in that Arizona State game where you just needed to have everything on point in games like that, where the margin for error is absolutely nothing, that you've got to, something as simple as having direct path from, beginning a 4-6-3 double play opportunity, having that direct path from the ball leaving your hand right to the target, being able to handle the baseball at the level that they have been all year, because, one boot here or one misguided throw here or there, it could be the difference. And, you think about that inning that it's set up, there in the third inning. And I just think that there were more miscues that it was, especially that field too. Sometimes you don't want to ever alibi mishandling the baseball and being sloppy with the baseball at moments. But I think there are certain times when you're not used to a surface, you're not used to this place or that, but especially being at that ballpark, that I got to say that was probably a little bit more surprising, because, the offense was such a big identity of this team. But, as you guys fully know, baseball, there are just times you're going to slump, and there was nothing ever really extended from a slump standpoint that really collectively impacted this team really until this weekend, where other than maybe Dylan Carey, you just didn't see anybody. And I'd give Case Anderson, I thought he had
Maybe
a lot of solid
Buffalo.
at-bats. Yeah, so I mean, I think there was just guys that, collectively, the majority were having a tough time in the batter's box. And so that was surprising. But I think in the totality of baseball, you're going to see that from time to time. It's bad timing for that. But the way that this team handled the baseball all throughout the season, that to me, I think maybe trumps the offensive part.
It's interesting too, where I felt like this was kind of an uh-oh moment was probably on Friday against Ole Miss. Even the ball hit out to left, and inexplicably, Overbeek doesn't really give himself a good spot to get back to third base on the throw, and then we get the overthrow, and I'm like, it just seemed disjointed, almost from the jump. Because I mean, that's very unlike Overbeek.
Yeah, and even yesterday, something as simple as when you're trying to chase down a ball that almost goes in the dugout, and then all of a sudden you look and no one's covering home.
Yeah.
So miscommunication there too. And it doesn't necessarily go down as an actual error on the stat sheet, but then it wasn't just the actual technical errors, but there were mental errors too defensively. And I think Ben had used the word that I think was probably the most appropriate when you watch this happening. It just seemed like a team that was really pressing, a team that knew that there was a sense of urgency, which you want to play with a sense of urgency, but there was a sense of urgency that I think was speeding this team up. And we just hadn't seen that all year. And I know for a fact that the moment wasn't too big for them. I just think they were so desperate in trying to get back out in front and put some distance between them, and especially in that Arizona State game, and they just could not do it. And that becomes frustrating, because when you've reached into that bag all year long, that answer has been there. And for whatever reason, whether it was in the batter's box at times or on the mound at times, but especially defensively, which was such a positive for this team, it wasn't there. It wasn't nearly as sharp as it needed to be.
Let me ask you something, because we're in the same boat here, where you have a day job where you can talk about this stuff, but you also do the behind the scenes stuff as an analyst. Coach Bolt didn't seem particularly tickled with the umpiring yesterday, but didn't use it as an excuse either. From where we sit, I'm going to ask you on both halves. If you're us, do you view refereeing, umpiring, officiating as part of the story to tell when you're watching sporting events, or do you lean more to when you're an analyst, it's like you want to get it right? Like, how much are you into human error as being part of this deal?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm still going to be tolerant to human error, because especially in baseball, that's just been part of it. I mean, think about your playing days, Damon, and think about, the amount of innings that you've played the sport, and myself and everybody that has played at least to a high school level, that's just part of it. There are going to be some games where the umpire is part of the conversation, and obviously that's not a good thing, because no one is ever going to go back to their coach and say, "Man, that guy's calling a great game." They're just not going to do that.
I mean, Don Dankinger does exist.
Right?
Right?
Yeah, exactly. And unfortunately, for as many, and there are so many good, consistent umpires that unfortunately going to blow a call here and there. That's the human error part of it. There are some bad ones, but I think that the human error has always been part of the game. But now with the technology and that demand for, hey, if we can make it that much more consistent, if we can get it right, we need to do that. And I can appreciate trying to bring that balance to the game, and maybe try to take a little bit of that guesswork or human error out of the equation. I still think in the sport of baseball, it's always been a big part of that. And I think as players, you've been brought up to adjust to that. And, like for instance, a 2-2 count, or, the jet buck called strike three, you're in a 3-2 count. I thought that pitch was close. And so then here's the two sides of that coin. Is that a pitch that that you're not going to be able to get any type of contact on? Was it close enough to protect and try to fight it off and get another pitch? Or were you that 100% convinced that it was a ball, and how big that would have been if you lay off a pitch on a pitcher's term and you're able to drive in a run, and that place is at a fever pitch? So, there's that balance there of, boy, is it close enough to protect? Or am I 1,000% convinced that thing is out of the zone and I'm going to get a free pass? So that's the part of, I think, being in the batter's box, especially in those situations, that you have to make that split decision, because is 50-50 as that pitch was. I would say it was probably, close enough to offer at it, but understanding the moment, if you get the call the other way, that's a really big moment for Nebraska as well. So I don't envy Jet Buck for that. I'm not saying he was wrong in not trying to protect, but I think that's the issue that you're going through. But there's the human error. You're relying on the person behind the catcher to make the call that's going to sync up to what your decision-making is in that moment.
Put your coaching hat back on for a second. How much liberty, because challenges were upheld quite a bit, I felt like this weekend. Would you do a study? Was it trust your player? Would you let them know ahead of time, like when to challenge, when not to? I mean, the tapping is a thing, and it is all the time. Like, got to be a better way to manage it, though, don't you think?
Agreed. Yeah, I think that's the best resource that a lot of these coaches have in that split-second moment, because you only have that window to let them know that you want to take a look at it. So you're going to trust your guy. But I think you bring up a good point, though, DB. I think that there has to be an understanding of, okay, we thought we executed that pickoff really well, or we thought we got that throw down a second and the ball beat him there and got the tag on before. But you also got, and I don't know the answer of how you do this, but I think it does need to be a point of emphasis to the players of, guys, okay, we need to express the importance of those challenges, because we're leaning heavily on you, that you're going to be able to tell us. Now, obviously, there's going to be coaches in that dugout that are hopefully going to see some angles, and especially when you're trying to beat out close play at first base, your first base coach also might be another good resource right there. But I think as far as the players being able to really lead that attempt to challenge, you really need to emphasize that to them of, hey, are you 1,000% sure? Are you 100% sure that this is going to go our way before we potentially waste a challenge? Because there were moments, in the game against Arizona State that they had already burned their challenges.
Yeah.
If that game gets tight, what if Nebraska ties it up? You go extra innings and they don't have any more challenges, and there's some bang plays that they'd like to get another look at. Now the umpiring crew can come together and they can make those challenges, or they can have the reviews on their own. But if you want to initiate a challenge and you don't have it, that can be a big moment or a big loss, especially in the later stages of a game.
Nick, real quick, I know you got to get out of here in just a minute, but when you're looking at the way the postseason went for Nebraska, do you think, I know they went out and challenged themselves a lot early. Would you like to see them find a way to play maybe a higher level of competition later in the season, besides a one-off midweek game, just to kind of prepare themselves a little bit better? Or do you not really think that's a factor of what we saw this weekend?
Yeah, I don't know if that's a factor this weekend. And I think you got to hope that the Big Ten is going to provide those types of challenges on the weekend. I think, having the USC series on the schedule was beneficial, especially at home, gave you a feel. I mean, you guys remember that was kind of a regional feel. It was. I thought Iowa
was on the line, right?
What's that?
We thought hosting was on the line.
Absolutely. And so I think there's some of those high leverage games, and you look at the midweek competition. Creighton gave them a run, but look at Kansas. You're playing 2 games at home and home with Kansas, where that's now a super regional team, and you got to go to their place in the second part of that 2-game season series, where that also had postseason feels to it in a packed house. So I think it's going to be, Ravi, cyclical, though. I think there are going to be certain times that the Big Ten, whatever that end of April to May schedule looks like, do you have some of the teams that are in the top 6, top 7 of your conference that can challenge you? And then what does your midweek look like? What is K-State? How are they doing? How's Kansas doing? How's Creighton doing? Because, getting those midweek schedules beyond that Midwest footprint and the travel and everything that's involved, that's a tall order. But, and I think to your point too, we've seen sometimes teams are able to play out of conference and almost have that bye weekend where they get to dip out of conference and play another team. I think that's always a possibility, and I would never rule that out, where maybe you do get an Oregon State coming to Lincoln like they did 2 years ago, or another high-level team that's out of conference that can come to Lincoln in April just because you have that conference bye weekend too. I think a lot of it has to depend on how the schedule is going to shake out. But as far as trying to find tougher midweek competition, I just don't know if that's in the cards based on the whole travel situation.
That's our guy, Nick Handley, play-by-play for Nebraska baseball. Nick, appreciate the time as always. And I hope you had, despite the results, I hope you had a good time over the course of the season and over the weekend calling Nebraska baseball. Seems like it was a really fun year to be around this team.
Get some lemon and tea. Some coffee.
That's right. It was a blast, boys. Appreciate being on with you guys.
Thanks, champ.
That is Nick Handley from the Nebraska play-by-play call. Let's take a quick break here. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We will be back with more Hurrdat Sports Live coming up next.
I don't think it's really hit yet that I'll never lace up my cleats again to play college softball and with these girls. But yeah, that's what I got right now. This was such a special season. Each girl had their hand all over it. And I just thank Nebraska from the bottom of my heart for bringing back my spark, because it was gone for a long time, and that's something I'll carry with me for the rest of my life. And that was the biggest thing that I got this season. No loss, no win will ever compare to the joy that I found again. It's something special. This was the best World Series I've ever experienced, and it's not even about softball at all. It's being with these girls and this team and these coaching staff, the whole coaching staff. Each girl brings their own different kind of superhero talent to the table, and each girl is just full of love and joy, and experiencing the biggest stage that college softball has with these girls is something I'll never forget.
I would just say the whole journey has been, not what I expected, obviously, starting out at OU and then transferring back home to Nebraska and getting hurt and all of that. But one thing that we talked about in the locker room, somebody said, Jordy, thank you for coming home and changing this program. And I said, I didn't come home and change this program. No one person can do that. It was the girls who were already here that absolutely bought into what this program could do. It was all of the transfers that we had coming in with the goal, knowing what this program could do. And it was everybody the last 3 years putting in their work to make this team what it was this year. And so, God's fingerprints were all over this team. It was all over my story, all over my career. And I do truly believe that the way today ended is a part of that story as well. And the fruits that will come from it later on, are things that will be revealed down the road. It really hurts right now, but just so thankful for the journey and to finish it here with this team.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Next Gen Male Medical. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports HQ. Reminding you, give our friends over at Next Gen Male Medical a call. 402-614-9700. Their bread and butter is testosterone or hormone replacement for men and women, but they can do it all. That's why DB was able to play 10 innings yesterday.
Yeah.
Because they got a little pep in a step. Are you guys 7 normal or 9? You played a full 9?
Yeah.
7?
We
You have 3 extra?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
It was a heater.
You feeling all right? You doing okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
It's because he called Next Gen Male Medical, 402-614-9700. Maybe our guy Jimmy Neutron over here too. If the fiance keeps fat shaming him, maybe he can give him a call too. We'll just see what happens. See if they can help him out.
He said thick. We don't have to say fat.
Oh, you want me to call it thick shaming? That's not a term.
He's clearly not fat.
I understand that. I don't think he's fat. I think he looks great.
He's thick.
That's why I wouldn't tell him he needs to go to the gym. I'd be like, Austin, I think actually you're running maybe a little too much.
I can appreciate her suggestive hinting about him needing to tan, though. That has to be one of the better deals ever.
Thick.
Tanning's about the only thing Next Gen can't help you out with. So give them a call, 402-614-9700. And since we've got a new month, you don't get the free consultation anymore. But if you go in and sign up for services, you will get a free vitamin shot to put that pep in your step.
Ooh, the Hercules or the Zeus?
I don't know. You have to go in and find out. Ooh, get a little boost.
I like the Zeus.
You seem like a Hercules guy.
Wow. That is one of the funnier scenes of a bad movie.
Yeah, I don't like Eddie Murphy, so.
Not a big nutty professor or guy?
None of it. No, there's nothing. Eddie Murphy is not my thing.
Eddie Murphy's goat.
No version of Eddie Murphy do I enjoy. It's not my thing.
It's fine.
As everybody's got their own tastes.
Everybody's got their own taste.
I'm not saying he's not funny. I'm saying I don't enjoy him.
Are you a human error guy?
No.
You're all for automated balls and strikes.
If you can get it right, get it right.
Really?
Now, I do within a reasonable amount of time, right? I'm not trying to have 30-minute replays and stuff like that. If you can get it right in about...
There was an inordinate amount of challenges.
There were. That's my... if you have the ability to do automated balls and strikes, you take that problem away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I would rather... I hope Major League Baseball goes to automated balls and strike system soon. I think that's kind of what we're workshopping here, but you've got the umpires union and, Major League Baseball is about to have enough of its own labor strife that I'm sure they're not trying to worry about the umpires union right now.
Yeah, But who do you have more confidence in, the NBA or MLB?
To what?
The collective bargaining.
Oh,
and both sports.
NBA for sure. Okay. Because the biggest ask being made is MLB asking for a salary cap.
Yeah.
No ask that big can be made of the NBA because that's not left on the table anymore. Oh. So that's the biggest gap.
Or the NFL when we'll figure out the whole antitrust thing.
Yeah, don't worry about that.
No, if you like litigation, this is a big year for
there's going to be a lot going on.
3 sports.
Well, and college. I mean, you want to just lump all of college in there.
Did I send you the Cignetti deal?
Yeah.
We may need to play that before. I want to stay with the ABS thing because I thought we went through this, and I know Neutron needs some time he's frantically trying to get the audio cleaned up. But I want you to listen to Carrick Jackson from Missouri talk about challenging and how this thing's going to play out.
Absolutely not the same for our hitters. so even when Pierre challenged there at the end, like it was at the end, so I really didn't say too much, but I want to be like, hey, come on now, like some of the stuff you swing at, I'm not giving you free reign to be able to tell me what's a ball and a strike. But no, we talked to our hitters. I put up a actual little placard, a little board in the dugout of saying, hey, these are the situations that we will challenge. These are when we want to challenge these situations, but more importantly, I will let you know before you go to the plate if in your at bat you have the ability to challenge. And so I think that was the best way to go about it. Now, what we did last weekend at Texas was to prepare them for that and to give them some, I guess, insight on their own ability to challenge. We told them last weekend, hey, if you want to challenge, tap your thigh. And so we charted every pitch. When they tapped their thigh, we asterisked that pitch. Then we went back and looked, and I think we were 0 for 5. So that just made my case for me like, nah, we're not going to give you free reign just to go out and make challenges.
The funniest one. The funniest one is I see the stuff you swing at. You're not getting a challenge.
Don't you think he's right more than he's not, though?
100%.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't think college players have a good sense of the strike zone. I don't. I think that has become apparent. That's one of the bigger gaps between college and major leagues that we maybe didn't realize is strike zone awareness. I mean, that was part of the big Moneyball thing, was that strike zone awareness is a skill and not just a, whatever extra thing. That's why you started getting guys like Kevin Youkilis getting really popular in terms of.
It's always got to boil down to a Red Sox.
Well, Barry Bonds is too obvious because he was good at everything.
Okay.
So, you know what I mean? Barry Bonds was going to make $1 billion in any era of whatever baseball he played because he's good at everything, right? Kevin Youkilis was only going to be successful in a certain era of baseball because of what his skill set was. And one of the things that they valued the most is he had incredible strike zone awareness. I think that's one of the things you look at with college players. And
Wasn't his beard game?
No, he had that nasty goatee. That thing looked
like something was growing in there.
He looked like he was out in the Appalachias, chasing down Bigfoot, or that he was Bigfoot that people were chasing down. It was hard to tell. But the strike zone awareness, I think, is a huge thing that we maybe didn't have a way of quantifying until we started getting some challenges in the college game with the balls and strikes. But it's pretty clear they don't have a good sense.
Hey, Jimmy Neutron, did I send you the Cignetti clip? I mean, we text so much. I need to tighten it up. I do.
You send us about 18 clips a day, and then we use one.
18's a little strong, but
You're right. That was too much.
I get your point, though.
It was here. I'm going to forward it back to the top of the chat
because I did send it, right?
Yeah.
This is which one is it? Because there's been a couple over the past few weeks that you'd sent.
I just sent it to you.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, it's in the chat. Yeah, it's about Cignetti kind of talking about
because I said for a while, just give it a year or two.
Mm-hmm.
We just have to wait this out.
Seems like a lot of people don't think we have the time for that. We've heard several coaches kind of intimate, hey, something needs to happen in the next 18 months or we're in trouble.
To hear them say it is better than me.
Yeah, I don't know what they mean by trouble.
Ravi, you first of all, there's just something at its most rudimentary.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about alphas giving up a significant amount of control.
Sure.
And that's something I altogether think they're uncomfortable with. Now they'll say, hey, I'm all for paying players.
Yeah.
Because you can't come across as anything other than that and have players want to come play for you.
Yeah. Dabo found that out.
But you do have to reestablish control because right now you're at the hands of the highest taker.
Yeah, I mean, they're in this weird no man's land of we were operating in a way that was not sustainable. we changed the rules, and now we're operating in a totally different way that's not sustainable, right? Yeah. Both models that we've seen college football operate under are totally unsustainable. We're just in a place where they have to figure out it swung from one extreme all the way to the other, and they have to find some happy place in the middle.
You know, one of the things that I think makes this clip so powerful.
Why is that?
And this is actually, I mean, hopefully Sasha's not listening. She's busy. It's Monday, so hopefully not. This is where video actually is a benefit. Mm-hmm. When it's anybody but me, I think it's very beneficial. But check out Cignetti's body language on how serious he is when he says what he's saying.
The market is pretty expensive. Scary. So I guess in relative to your question, I think players should get paid, but something was going to have to be done in the next 12 to 24 months, or universities aren't going to be able to handle this. College football won't exist at the way we're going right now.
I mean,
that's about the only time he does not have the smirk on his face.
Listen, that he is
because he kind of has that serious, all the time.
He is dead dog serious. And even after the fibbing, which I don't think was necessarily him on what they actually paid. People were throwing around, they only paid $14, $15 million.
Somewhere between 15 and 25.
And then we hear about $30 million defense, whatever, right? You just knew it wasn't 14 mil, but that was when we wanted to pit everything against what Nebraska was or wasn't doing. But he's dead dog serious about the lack of sustainability, because with even having a Mark Cuban, with all the good deals that Mark Cuban, I mean, the dude turned down Focus Energy on Shark Tank, right? So he's clearly not just
throwing money at stuff.
Yeah, he's just not wasting
discerning money.
Yeah. All right. He's letting you know that this is ain't gonna work.
Yeah, there's a version of this where I'm hoping that the legislation that's being worked on right now comes through. I'm not optimistic.
It needs some serious.
I'm hoping some
like Austin's eyebrows. It needs some serious tweaking.
Why are you going after the man's eyebrows?
I don't know.
What?
I just thought aesthetically it fit with how demanding Dr. Fiance is.
Am I being like body shamed at home and at work?
I would never body shame you. I think you're very.
You just did.
No,
you just said I need work.
Here, full discretion.
Just the eyebrows.
Yeah.
And you called me fat earlier.
No, I certainly did not. Now, let me just get to this eyebrow thing.
That's what I heard.
Historically, now I have a bit of a lazy eye. It is from taking a very good punch, which was stitched up. My eyebrows are horrific. They are. I'm not like going out to model my eyebrows at any point. But men have to be careful when they get their eyebrows done, because you run the risk of looking
how are you going to get out of this?
Part of me wants to help you out, and part of me does not at all.
Not fit. You run the risk of looking not like your normal self.
Oh, there you go.
Wow, that's exactly what everyone was thinking too.
So tweaking and plucking eyebrows is something I think a lot of men need to do. I just think you have to be very careful about how you go about it. There, that's all.
You can make it a lot worse. I think is a fair way to put it.
Stick to sports.
No shaming.
So you want to talk about Abdullah Carter and Jackson Dart?
Oh, they hugged it out.
I do
work out.
I don't want to lose the train on this college football thing, but I do find the situation interesting, and I would like to talk to you outside of the politics of it all, just like the locker room dynamics.
Yeah,
I think there is an interesting thing there, because I don't find the other part of it.
We got it handled, Spreewell. We got it handled.
There's only one solution to a locker room problem like that, and it's playing We Are the World.
Neither one of those guys strike me as we are the world guys.
No.
I do think it's interesting, though. Like, this is just cultural, not political.
Mm-hmm.
I do wonder why African Americans have such a hard time standing on a platform when non-African Americans have no problems letting you know where they stand.
You mean their willingness to, or our reaction to it?
Good. That's a DB. You would like to make the distinction. I actually think the willingness to. Now, we're not going to probably respond well, but I do think the willingness to.
Do you wonder if the willingness to is a result of reactions to the ones that have?
You want me to keep it a buck?
Yeah.
I think for African Americans, we have a harder time with a unified message, because once somebody puts themselves out on a platform, inevitably you are going to have vocal detractors where they'll say, here, did you hear this? Culturally, I don't even know how we got here. Culturally, we suffer from more of the crab in the bucket mentality than almost any other historical cultural group.
Like eating of your own?
Correct. Correct. Crab, you ever seen crabs in a bucket?
They pull each other down.
One tries to get out and you inevitably get pulled down. So I also think that's part of it. I do. Because for whatever the reason, culturally, we always run that fine line of being black enough for some and not black enough for others. And a lot of times it's in our own peer group. I don't see that with other cultures. With other cultures, it becomes more political.
Sure.
Than it does cultural. It becomes more left-right. We don't have a left-right issue. We have a we have a black non-black issue.
So what's interesting here is I think, and this is probably going to go in lots of directions we didn't intend it to, but I think a lot of this, and I do think you get this to a certain degree with masculinity as well, where the definition becomes the problem. The definition of black enough becomes the problem.
No, I'm with you.
Right?
Yeah.
Like we saw, and I know we talked about him the other day, but we saw there's a clip of Jason Peter on his show on 93.7, The Ticket, where he's talking about how he doesn't like this era of football player dancing on TikTok and things like that. And he says, that's what females do. And my immediate reaction was, I have a problem with the way you're defining masculinity. Because let's not forget, the NFL had to make an entire section of the rule book for dancing after touchdowns.
Yeah.
Right? What you could do, what you couldn't do. So clearly this is not a new thing. This is not a not football thing. And this is not a gender thing, right? Football players have danced for as long as I can remember, even when it meant they were going to get penalized for it. Right? So when he makes the distinction between, hey, this is a male thing versus a female thing, I think, hey, I start with not liking your definition, right? It's the same thing of, again, kind of the crab in the bucket. If you're not the version of masculinity that I like or that I think is important or that I think leads to winning football, I'm pulling you down. Because we can ignore the fact that Trae Taylor is going to probably be a 5-star and be like, I don't like that he dances on TikTok. We can ignore the fact that Nebraska's offensive line recruiting is going, as Sam said, as well as it has in years. And
I mean, if they pull off this weekend with one more of their interior linemen, it will be at historic levels.
I mean, we're talking about Callahan levels of offensive line recruiting.
Yeah.
I don't think that's an exaggeration, right? No. So but instead of seeing that, we're like, I don't like that they're dancing on TikTok. That's not manly enough for me. We never would have done that. They're not tough enough. Where it's like, okay, Jason, you were there. I wasn't. I'm going to go out on a limb here and said you guys did some pretty stupid stuff too. Fair? There was no cameras there, so that's an advantage for, I think, all of your professional lives.
Yeah.
But, gonna go out on a limb, and not just you, but Do we not remember Miami dancing in the 80s? They won a hell of a lot, right? Do we not remember Oklahoma making music videos? They won quite a bit too, didn't they?
Yeah.
So maybe it's not the dancing thing. Maybe it's your definition of what you think wins and doesn't win, or what makes you manly and not manly. The same way it is about what makes you black enough or not black enough, or what makes me Indian enough or not Indian enough, or whatever, right? Like, it is, we start with...
Do you struggle with being Indian enough?
I do. Like, people that are like full-blooded Indian, like, I got married to a white woman. My dad's married to a white woman. Like, I don't go to temple. I don't speak Hindi. Like, I am not Indian enough for most people that are like Indian, right? Like full-blooded. It's a thing, right? It probably doesn't get as toxic as it does in your community sometimes. I don't want to speak for you, but from what you're saying, that's what it seems like. But there's definitely a disconnect there between people that either...
I mean, there's a reason that Jordan and Tiger Woods never took a stance on much.
Sure.
It's just safer not to.
Yeah.
So, but nobody ever says, Kyle, you know what? Man, Peyton Manning, like, you got to stand for something.
Right. Because he didn't stand for much either, and nobody cares.
Nobody cares, though.
Yeah. What did Tom Brady stand for ever? What did Derek Jeter stand? Although Derek Jeter runs into the black enough or not black enough thing too.
Yeah.
Right. But what did Derek Jeter stand for ever? Or Tom Brady or whoever? Right.
Yeah. So what was bugging you about the Abdul Carter?
It wasn't bugging me. I was curious about the dynamics of like patching that rift in a locker room, because there's obviously the Trump of it all makes it a pretty polarizing thing publicly, but I have to imagine it makes it a fairly polarizing thing in the locker room too. And so my curiosity was, I'm sure there's versions of this you've seen, not with politics necessarily, but of, hey, certain guys. I mean, the one you've told me the most was very football-y, where you had half your locker room thought Brooks should start, half your locker room thought Tommy should start, maybe not half and half, but sections, right? And so that's a very football-y thing that can get answered on the field. But I do wonder about like outside stuff when it's not, hey, you stole my girlfriend, or hey, you, whatever, where it's not things that I don't think you can overcome really. But it's like, hey, this is a thing that I believe that fundamentally you disagree with. I'm curious about the dynamics of fixing that in a locker room, because that seems really challenging to me in a way that if I'm a Giants fan, I'm concerned about, even if it seems like they're burying the hatchet now, because you know how that goes. It's like, hey, we buried the hatchet until you make me mad about something else, and then it's all this other stuff.
So here's the thing. I have to go to pre-existing relationships, because that's all I really have to go by. I don't know how J Dart and Abdul Carter
functioned before. Sure.
Because depending on how we get along is how much rope I typically give you. Right? Where I have famously, not famously, because within our team, there were very distinct different worldviews. A guy that I get along with exceptionally well, that we go back and forth, is Aaron Taylor, right? But Aaron Taylor can say a lot of things to me, and he can sometimes do a lot of things to me that I'm perfectly okay with, because I think I know how he feels about me.
And that things other people could not say and get away with.
No.
Right.
No.
I mean, like, even you extend me an incredible amount of leeway.
You get a tremendous amount of grace.
Right.
A tremendous amount of grace.
That even I would imagine other people you have worked with in similar roles did not.
Yeah, some have tried. And it
didn't go well.
It just doesn't go as well. Right? Because I do. But I think for the locker room thing, there's some less popular ones, but I think were fascinating to watch. Like, do you remember a really, really good black offensive lineman at Nebraska pre-Will Shields?
Ooh.
So I'll land the plane and say you probably don't.
No.
There was a.
Would it Bob Brown be that answer?
maybe, but when Bob, that's especially for a pup,
Yeah,
that is
that's a good pull.
sensational.
That's a really good pull.
But the thing that made Bob Brown different is Nebraska was like the premier power institution that was integrating on the other side of the Mason-Dixon line.
Sure. Yep.
So it
not
was,
a lot of options if you want to play
it was
high
very
level.
fashionable.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially recruiting the way that Devaney wanted to recruit. And I remember Coach Teneper and Coach like navigating Will Shields' ascent versus the perception of guys that kind of came before them that didn't feel the same about having the opportunity to play offensive line.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody talks about it, but it's a real thing.
Yeah.
Like Will was an anomaly at up to that point.
At the time, yeah.
Right? The Tommy Brook thing, I don't, be honest, man. Like, I don't feel like it was so much black and white as much as who I'm close to and who I'm not.
Sure.
Right?
I always took it as a temperament thing. Because
like Zach and like Wiegert and Brooke, like they flew together.
Yeah.
Right? Like they spent a lot of time together.
Sure.
I can think of a handful of people that T-Phrase would actually spend time with.
Yeah, that's a personality thing, though,
it's
right?
It's a personality thing.
Like he's kind of just wired that way.
So I get how the lines were painted to be drawn later. And for some, maybe it was a race thing.
Yeah.
I can't really speak to that.
Yeah, there's 200 people now.
But when you look at the natural allegiances, I think a lot of it had to do with who got along, who I hung out with. Like it was just kind of a popular deal.
Yeah.
Which is one of the reasons why I think T-Phrase, and I talked to him enough. I mean, it's not like I'm going to bring him on the show and say, hey, let's talk about it, but he clearly would.
Sure.
Where it's like one of the things I think he's very animate about is not really caring about being well liked. Because I think he's calloused in that area where you see how the sincerity of people that are for you and people that are not, that shouldn't be based on what you can do for them.
I always take that.
Even I fight that. And I wasn't near as prolific, but I do struggle with when people always want something or need something versus just checking on me. Like what if my name was like, I mean, imagine if I was like really good, right? But in high school, it was a struggle. So I think for the Dart Carter thing, it's, I do wonder why, when you ask me the question about being a stance being received versus willing to take the stance, man, as I kind of look at it from afar, and I've been a guy that has watched this my whole life.
Well, yeah, like I mean, you start with like John Carlos, right? You start with Muhammad Ali.
I start with my dad.
Yeah.
Pretty easy.
Yeah.
Was a little too dark to get an administrative job in Omaha Public Schools. Right? Like that was the thing. He clearly was borderline brilliant.
Yeah.
And ended up being really good at what he did.
Well qualified.
But had to take an alternative route.
Yeah.
And so he's just a guy that has always I just know what I'm supposed to do regardless of what I look like. It just took me forever to get comfortable with it.
Yeah.
I knew what I was supposed to do. And I kind of knew how I was supposed to do it. I just fought it for a while. So when I watch these interactions, and my initial reaction is always going to be like, why is it okay for him, but not him? Because who really cares if we agree? Because we don't have to agree.
Right.
Dart doesn't have to believe what Carter does, and Carter doesn't have to believe what Dart does. But I think the level of respect in which you understand where I'm coming from is different. And I think that's ultimately going to trump what happens in the locker room, at least my experience.
Kind of sort of a tangent, not really. What was and I think we've talked about this a little bit before, but maybe not much. What was the relationship between Brooke and Tommy like? Because you talked about the pre-existing relationship with Abdul and Jackson.
I didn't pay enough attention real time.
Okay.
I think it was a healthy respect.
Okay. Better
I mean,
than the Vikings thing we saw over the weekend.
Yeah, I didn't understand that.
That was weird. That was weird.
I hope, because I cheer for McCarthy.
Yeah.
I hope his play offsets how he came off.
Yeah. Because it came off pretty bad. Kyler came off great. He came off like a vet. He came off like a guy that.
Yeah. So I think with McCarthy, a lot of times it's like, well, how do we feel previously?
Sure. I think we do that with almost everybody. We're not very good at taking things at face value.
Yeah.
How do I feel about this person beforehand?
I look at Lamar Lathan and how he handled Michael Barrow's free agent deal when he came over my first year in Carolina. Like, I didn't go over that well.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So I think a lot of it has to do with how the pre-existing relationships and what I'm willing to work around or look through. I've got really good friends that philosophically we may think differently, but typically not morally.
Mm-hmm. So I think that's where you get into a tricky situation, especially with the Dart Abdul Carter thing, because whatever you believe politically, whatever, I don't, again, that part of this is not that interesting to me. What I do wonder about is there's a section of people that think Trump specifically does things that actively hurt them. Whether they're right or wrong, that's a thing that people believe.
That's fair.
Right?
Yeah.
So if it's different when Abdul Carter sees his quarterback support someone if he thinks that person they're supporting is actively hurting them.
That was Abdul Carter's point.
As opposed to just, I disagree with your politics or your
I understand
philosophy or your. That's why I think like a lot of times I think religious stuff actually does not have as much, at least in locker rooms, as many problems as you might think it would.
Yeah.
Because typically you look at a guy who's maybe a devout Christian versus a devout Muslim versus Jewish versus atheist, and you go, well, none of these people are actively trying to hurt me.
Yeah. I lockered. I was probably 7 doors down from Rocket Ishmael.
Mm-hmm.
And he used to tell me that he basically would joke with me that the second covenant or the last half of the Bible didn't even exist.
Yeah.
Right. And I would be like, huh?
Yeah.
Right. But I didn't feel like.
But it wasn't actively trying to hurt you.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah.
Right. So that's the one part of this that I think is maybe harder to reconcile, and it's harder to find corollaries for.
Yeah.
Of like, hey, do I think this person that you're supporting is actively trying to hurt me? Because that seems like it'd be harder to get over.
Yeah, I agree, BLT. And I know Ravi doesn't like him. I do.
The clip was incredible.
I do, though.
I like him. I just think he's goofy, but that was actually
I like James.
Strangely wise. Like I thought it was
on a multitude of levels.
Yes.
I thought Jameis was sensational. Now again, he's weird.
He's goofy. He's goofy, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the part where but I don't know about surprise, but that's the longest I've seen him go without, I don't want to say going into character, but he does like his Jameisisms where he does kind of weird stuff and like eats W's or like gets into like says something goofy. Like that's just kind of what his personality is.
Although he did reference eating W's though.
Game 7.
He did.
You can't miss.
But like he was pretty serious.
Yeah.
And I thought he was actually.
Oh, he grew up in Birmingham.
Yeah.
It'd be easy to be traumatized.
Every day y'all go out on the road.
And he brought that up.
Yeah.
He brought up being from a place where, 4 little black girls were burned in a church. And
I think I have the clip if you want it.
The Jameis one?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
We don't have to agree. We don't have to respect or even understand people's perspective. But I think we should support their perspective because that's what they believe in. Right. So I think these two young guys being resilient and showing that uncomfortable situations and come into not a compromise, but come into a position of strength, of authority, of the impact that they have, that we have as athletes with this platform to the world, is so good for them to experience, because guys, they were drafted together. What you don't have a tighter bond than that. They sit next to each other in the team meeting room, right? And that's what we see in this world. Sometimes we try to normalize just opinions, people's opinions. Everybody want to jump on, oh, he said this, she did that, but we don't normalize togetherness. We don't normalize perspective, and everyone has that.
You know what's interesting about that I think about it, and this isn't, I promise this isn't about me, but I did take some flack when people made it seem as though I was afraid to say anything about what Jason Peters said.
Oh, yeah.
What did I say, though? I said
you process it differently because you know him.
And it's just a what? It's just his opinion.
Yeah.
Everybody has those. Like, what do you, I went in, this was like 10 minutes, and I'm like, what do you want me to tell him that his opinion is wrong? It's not confrontational. It's not like, ooh, you need to have him on the show and duke it out. It's, he has an opinion. It's different than how I think, but it's not enough to make me mad at him. Do you know what I mean? It's like, that's how I viewed it. Now, whether I agree with it or not isn't even the issue. It's, oh, DB, man, you're dancing around with Jason. So I'm like, what do you want me to say? He thinks differently than I do. What am I going to tell him?
Also, what were you going to say that I hadn't?
No, at that point.
I mean, you let me go for quite a bit there. Yeah. And I do, that's actually, I think, an interesting.
To Jameis's point, that's exactly, because that's what you're used to in locker rooms. Like, all sorts of walks in life. People are raised differently, man. Like, I don't know. It's just an opinion.
I do think that the Jason example is a good one here because it's a much smaller scale, right? Fewer stakes than world leaders and things like that. But I do think when there's, again, the reason I got worked up about it is I thought he was doing harm, right? To the fan base, to Nebraska football. So that's why I got worked up about it, because I thought he was actively doing harm to a thing I care about.
To the point where you were talking about with
the Jameson or with the Abdul and Dart thing,
where you feel like you're supporting somebody that's actively hurting.
Yes, or you're the one actively hurting or doing harm. And so that's why I got upset about the Jason Peter thing. So like, hey, there's a certain point where it's like, to me, an opinion is, hey, I think we should have gone for it on fourth down versus I think we should have punted on fourth down. Like, that's a different kind of opinion versus going in on, hey, this is what it should look like. It's the same thing with
supporting how
somebody's going about their business when I think they're doing things the right way, or going after recruits for dancing on the internet when I think that's actively hurting, right? So I'm going to have a feeling about that. That's going to make me feel a certain way when I think you're actively harming a thing I care about. Whereas,
Shane, can you bold Jibs? I can't read that, but I think he's talking to me.
If you're just talking about, hey, I think we should have gone for it on fourth down, or hey, do we need to get Grant Bricks in the rotation, or what's his development been like? That's a different thing to me than actively what I consider harming a thing I care about.
I get it. Right? Which is the same reason I can hear you out to what Jibs is talking about. He said, do you feel like being part of a locker room gave you an ability to hear all sorts of perspectives without putting a judgment on that person? Yeah, 100% Jibs, which is why, like, I came by this honestly, right? Whether it's listening to phone calls I don't agree with, but I'll hear them out. Whether it's reading articles written by people that a lot of times I don't even like, but hearing them out, reading stuff in the stream where I know people I think are being ill-willed intentionally.
Yeah, disingenuous. Yeah.
Sometimes I will or won't hear those people out. It depends on how quickly I can sift through it.
Sure. And I'm much quicker to judge than you are on things like that.
That's a lot of it.
Yeah. Because you had 200 guys in that room that came from 200 different walks of life, some of which were closer to yours than others, that you had to figure out how to get along with.
Yeah.
Right. And I think a football locker room is different in that sense because there are so many people. I played basketball. There's 15 guys there.
And it's not the same.
No, it's not.
Because clearly with these guys talking about all the stuff that has happened in locker rooms in the close proximity and, what guys would do, like basketball players are quick to talk about that kind of stuff, man. Football, not so much.
Also,
you know what the beauty of this whole thing is too, is that like when you graduate high school and you go to college, just like a normal kid like me, you're told, well, you can explore all these new avenues, you can meet all these new people. But even at a school like UNK that I went to, you still can choose the people that you want to be with. You can choose if you want to expand your horizons. To be successful in sports and in locker rooms, you're going to meet all these different people and you have to choose.
You're forced.
You're forced to either accept these people for what all their other opinions are.
You could have just said, hey, I'm hanging out with the Western Nebraska people. I don't need to know anybody new. I don't need to meet anybody new. I'm going to go with people that have the exact same life experience as I do because I understand those people, and that's where I'm going to ride, right? Like those could have been the only people that got invites to the trailer was Western Nebraska people. Like that's just what we're rolling with.
Yeah, I love Aaron Taylor to death, and I think the feeling is relatively mutual, and we couldn't have been from different.
Yeah. The one of these examples that I think is the closest proximity, and we saw it didn't end well, right? And part of that was a football thing. I think part of it wasn't, was the Colin Kaepernick situation, right? Because he was, by his own words, however you feel about the way he expressed this, by his own words, he was protesting police brutality, right? That was the whole point of this. I think a lot of times we forget that. What he felt like, I think, based on having listened to him and people around him a lot, because I'm a 49ers fan, so I was very much in the thick of what was happening there, is people that were supporting or opposing his position. In that situation, he felt like they were supporting people that were actively trying to hurt him.
Yeah.
That's why that one never healed, right? That's why that one never crossed the threshold of, and again, I do think part of it was a football thing with Colin Kaepernick. He had this really bright flash, and then there were some signs of, I don't know if this is going to work long term. But I do think the reason he never got another opportunity was because that's a rift that's really hard to heal because he wasn't moving on it. And he was probably going to have a hard time reconciling with people that he thought were supporting a group that was actively trying to hurt him. That's why I wonder about the Jackson Dart Abdul Carter dynamics long term. Because if that's how Abdul Carter really feels about the person Jackson Dart's supporting, that becomes much more difficult to overcome than something else.
That's probably more complicated.
Yeah, I think there's just a lot more there if you feel like someone in this situation is actively trying to do harm, whether you're right or not. That's clearly how Colin Kaepernick felt. And I think that's how Abdul Carter feels. And I think that's where this becomes messier than a typical locker room disagreement.
Well, it'd be fascinating, too, because they're talented.
Yeah.
Like, you look at that.
And there's expectations this year with John Harbaugh. And, that's a really interesting situation to...
I think the beauty of this, though, and this isn't just glass half full, it is rare that you see an organization attack this head on.
Yeah. I'm putting Jameis out there was a decision.
Putting Jackson Dart and Abdul Carter out there was a decision.
Absolutely. For sure.
Like, you know me. And I'm not talking Gruyere, Gouda.
Good piece of cheese.
You trying to tell me like there isn't something to be celebrated in that?
No,
though?
I appreciate that a couple of guys that are really young seem to have the wherewithal to try and bury this.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, impressive. Let's take a quick break here. We will get back and finish up the show here on Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We'll be back right after this.
That was a big point of emphasis for these guys, obviously, over the course of their entire career, was to have a chance to play in the postseason. I wanted them to experience it. I wanted the fans to experience it because, like I said, it's been 18 long years since it's happened. I've kind of heard from some people some anecdotal stories about when they were young kids and, just thinking that was going to be the thing forever. And, it's a special year when you get a chance to play at home, and it stinks that we're not still playing. I mean, I'll be honest. Tomorrow's not going to be a very fun day, and it's because I don't get to coach these guys anymore. And that's what stinks. But the fans. Thank you for showing up and being supportive. These guys gave you a brand of baseball to be proud of.
Well, that's why it took us so long to come out of the locker room, because there were a lot of people expressing that genuinely. And, this is my 40th year in coaching, and this is my 40th day of this. And it was really special. It is really special. But I will tell you, one of the things that Casey Hoffman said in that room just now is, she said, the joy that came back in my life, and she wasn't even talking about softball, through this team. And we made a pact. We read a book this year. It was called The Carpenter. And there are 3 tenets to The Carpenter. And it's about loving and serving and caring for one another.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DBM Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports HQ, reminding you, got another home match this weekend with our friends over at Union Omaha. They got the win against FC Naples on Cancer Awareness Night. This Saturday, they're back in action against Fort Wayne FC, 7 p.m. at Morrison Stadium. Make sure you go to unionomaha.com to get your tickets. That is Saturday, June 6th at 7 p.m. at Morrison. Union Omaha, go Owls. I thought there was there's been some comments from people in the chat here.
Our chat?
There's a subject that we haven't quite got to yet today. Heath has been very vocal about it. I don't know if you knew this, but the Spurs and the Knicks are playing in the NBA Finals.
When you said Heath, it was like ding, 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 Spurs.
Before we do that, though, and this is going to make Heath mad if we never actually get to it, but We'll talk to Ant Wright probably at some point this week so we can talk NBA. I promise.
The draft?
The draft, the finals, the whole thing. I do want to say, though, we heard that clip of Coach Revelle during our break here.
Yeah.
I love Coach Revelle. Like, I think people don't always understand my affinity for Rule, right? But it's the same things that I like about Coach Rule that I like about Coach Revelle, right? There are certain things that I believe in that I really want to translate to winning, and that I really believe translate to winning because I've seen it happen in other sports. I see it with Coach Revelle in softball. And, every time or both the times we've talked to her this year, we've talked to her a few times since we've been doing this, but talking about the relationship between her and her team, talking about the things that matter to her in this. And it's, we talked to her when they're, in the middle of a long winning streak. It looks like this is before postseason play, but they're about to head into the Big Ten play and all this. And she's like, I just want to spend more time with this team. Mm-hmm. She didn't care about the wins and losses and anything like that. She's like, I just want to keep winning so I can spend more time with this team. And I don't know if Coach Rule would put it that way, but I think the sentiment would be similar when he's coaching teams that he really likes and guys that he really loves. And so, like, I'm consistent.
It's funny you gravitate towards that because we talk with Doc Widman all the time. Not all the time. We only get him about
over at West Side.
Yep.
Yeah.
Big max out guy 4 or 5 times a year. And he always talks about the why and centering it around not just putting the jersey on again, like, oh man, I got to hang it up versus I get to wear it again. It's one more day of putting on the jersey means we're together.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next day, and, we'll close and, hey, the best thing about this win is we get to come back tomorrow and be together. Right. So the more that's a real thing and not just lip service, you don't have to convince me. And it totally matters.
And I want people that I think are about the right things to be successful, right? That's part of the reason we did shows together. It's part of the reason I was out on Frost, right? I didn't think he was about the right things. I didn't think he was going about things the right way. Don't know the man personally. That's how it seemed to me from the outside. And so I was out. I didn't, as much as anything, I didn't want what I thought to be going about things that way to be rewarded. Right. I want guys or women or whoever that are going about things the right way for it to be rewarded, because I want that to be encouraged, not just in them, but in others that see it as well.
Yeah.
Right. I want Coach Rule to be successful because I think that will raise up a generation of coaches and players and people that have witnessed him do that and do things the right way. We saw it with, whether you agree with him on a bunch of things or disagree with him on a bunch of things, we did see that with Coach Osborne. Like, people acted a certain way because of the way they saw him act.
Mm-hmm.
That's a real thing.
Yeah.
Like, I know some people be like, oh, you're giving too much credit to the power of a football coach. Not in this state, I'm not. Like, there might be other places where it doesn't work like that, but if your football coach acts a certain way and you win a lot, that behavior is going to be emulated. And I'm pro that. And to get back to Heath Spurs, that's part of the reason I like Greg Popovich. Right.
And I know we've gone round and round on Pop.
I know he's surly with the media, at least publicly, but almost all those media members would tell you privately that he's very, very good to them. The way that he treats players, the way
Did you see him at practice a couple months ago?
I did. It warms my heart. Whatever's left of it.
I mean, can you believe that?
Yeah. And the way the players
happens so fast.
And the way the players gravitate toward him when he's clearly not the best version of himself anymore, but the love for them like the way Tim Duncan treats him like his dad is like really telling to me about the person that Greg Popovich is. I want that to be successful. That's part of the reason, I love Steph Curry. I think there's a lot of Greg Popovich and Steve Kerr as well. Like, I like that made that team very easy to root for me outside of just loving Steph Curry.
There's some guys that are hard to coach, right? And he loved them through it.
Yeah.
I can see that in you.
And so there is,
which is odd.
I know.
For as temperamental and ranty and volatile as you are,
sure.
Ultimately, I think that's what it boils down to, though. Like,
People that I don't think act the right way are going to get my vitriol, and people that I do think act the right way.
And you have no problems being that judgmental either, which I think is fascinating.
Sure, yeah. Probably
you don't apologize for it.
Probably more judgmental than I should be, but I feel like when I see it, I know.
Yeah.
Right. And I've been wrong, but I'll be honest, my hit percentage on it's pretty high. And so it encourages the behavior, if I'm being honest.
You're a true.
And so, like,
glad there's only one of him, right? There's only one L3. Austin's like, this dude's a character.
But like my hit percentage is like it's high enough to encourage the behavior at the very least.
Were you surprised at the OKC's inability to match a younger team's mental toughness?
A little bit. Yeah.
I thought they wilted.
Yeah, especially Chet. That was a bad series for Chet.
Oh boy.
And you asked that you know about his future with OKC, and obviously he already got the deal, but there's a part of me that wonders. And
it doesn't kick in for another
next year,
6 months.
Yeah, next year's the. But I mean that thing signed, sealed, delivered.
It does have ink on it. It was.
So I do wonder though, like, and I don't think Presti is this reactionary, but I also know he's not one to like sit on sentiment, you know. So there's a part of me that wonders if this doesn't open a door for a Giannis to OKC trade with Chet and maybe Jalen Williams at the center of it, because they like AJ Mitchell a ton,
and they have the picks too.
That's what I mean. So if you go Chet, Jalen Williams,
and you still get the pick and pop component that I like, that I think
100%
why I liked
you get
Giannis in New York too.
You get a creator that that can take pressure off of Shea, a guy that is elite at it when healthy. You have AJ Mitchell who you can continue to develop. You get to keep Case and Walls because he's going to be able to get paid. You basically dramatically upgrade Chet from Chet to Giannis. And Giannis, if I remember right on head-to-head matchups, is about the only guy that's given Wemby trouble consistently.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, you're answering a lot of questions with one move on a guy that maybe all of a sudden you're not super excited to be paying $40 million a year. That's a lot of money for a guy that looked like that in a playoff series.
Yeah.
And it's not that did I hear the stat right? 40 minutes without a shot attempt. That means you puckered.
Yeah, he just was timid.
You talk about pee-pee tucking, like that is world-class pee-pee tucking if you don't take a shot for 40 minutes.
Why does Wemby hate Chet so much?
It's
because like Chet doesn't
national.
I do too.
Well, and Chet doesn't like recognize it, but could you imagine like being in a room with someone who hates you so much and you're just like, I don't get it. Like he literally looks like he doesn't understand.
The thing about it is Chet doesn't give you the inkling that he just takes it, which is, I think, the most concerning thing. When you're the last one off the floor.
That's a big thing for you. You hate that. You hate it when people are on the ground.
Get off the ground, man. I can't say that enough. You watch.
I hear you say it all the time on the sidelines.
Man, listen. Get off the ground.
Every time I'm standing anywhere near the West Side sideline and you think somebody's on the ground too long, I hear it like a dozen times every Friday night.
I told you the stat that I'm the most proud of last year, and I felt like we maximized. Nobody wants to hear that. It's not like I joke about the plucky Dodgers, but
I thought you got the absolute best out of that team last year.
And we never, ever, ever, we had people get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Now, and we have a great training staff. Don't get me wrong. And we've elevated the training room. We never had a player have to be helped off the field. Not a cramp, not a sprained ankle, not a dislocated shoulder. At no point last year did a trainer come out and have to help a player off the field.
They just did their own damn selves.
Get off the ground, man.
So not a lot of Yannick Sinners in your locker room, huh?
How about your boy, though? Just dry. He wasn't even dry heaving. There was some in there. How about Jokic?
Oh, Djokovic?
Like, I see Jokic. Djokovic just throwing up.
Yeah.
In between sets.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's okay if we don't like.
Yeah, we don't have to.
We don't have to see that.
Yeah. You'd be like, hey, we noticed he threw up dirt between sets.
I know you think I'm weird. I do. But you're not being honest. being around vomit and people that have thrown up is significantly worse than if somebody dropped a doty on the ground and you had to smell it. I mean, keep it a buck.
I disagree.
That's not true.
I disagree.
That's not true.
Listen,
I was watching a movie like a week or two ago
That's not true.
where somebody had thrown up and I almost threw up.
I'm telling you, got hey,
That's
listen,
an insane debate
No,
argument to
you
drop
guys-
a minute before
you
the
guys
show
have to
ends.
Get my back on that. Like,
I've got your back on it.
Listen,
I'm not, to be clear, I'm not pro either of those things happening. I do think there is a group of people that the smell of vomit, like Shane was talking about, almost instantly makes them want to go too.
Oh,
that has never happened.
I mean, it is horrific.
That has never happened to me.
You're not telling the truth.
No, I don't get the automatic gag reflex when I smell. I don't.
You ever smell puke?
Yeah, it's awful.
And I'm not saying, oh, have you ever smelled puke?
I'm with Ravi. It's not the smell. It's like the sight and sound of it.
Oh, man.
It sounds more dangerous. I don't like that.
Plus, I think you guys can emulate. You can empathize with that because it just does something to you to feel those chunks. Like,
sure,
it's a texture thing, but you can't.
So here's the
you
real.
can't get me on the smell, man. And plus, you smell poop all the time, so you're desensitized. You don't smell vomit.
Pointing at Austin while this happens. Austin, you smell.
Why do you point at me?
Because he said it was an insane. I don't really want to debate it. I'm just saying, like,
Don't point your finger at me and say you smell poop all the time.
I think this.
I don't even have a kid at home.
This is a weird distinction to make. I would less
ask a parent that's changed diapers versus when their kid pukes.
I would less like
you take the doo-doo diaper all day, every day.
Well, I'm thinking of adults here.
Even worse.
So I agree. The process of throwing up is more disturbing. Like the retching is worse to me. But if I just walk into a room and it's one or the other, I think I'd rather it be vomit.
You're not being honest. You clearly are not being honest. If you walk in and somebody has thrown up, it is automatic. You can walk into a bathroom and somebody is.
You didn't say a bathroom.
Doesn't matter. Like, let's say it's in the corner,
if
right?
It's in the corner. We have a different discussion.
Yeah, you're in a pinch, right? And you gotta. It's in the corner. I'm not. I'm already embarrassed that I made the comparison. I don't even think it's a discussion.
Clearly it's a good comparison because there's a debate here to be not one we necessarily need to have.
I'm just telling you, man. Like, which smells worse, your dog's vomit or the dog's poop?
Oh, definitely the poop.
You're a Tim Johnson, man.
I'm not.
That's 100. Look, dog poop and dog vomit are not even close to the same.
I don't think my dog's vomit doesn't smell that bad. It's gross.
Hey, have short nose.
Well, I don't
inhalers.
I don't have that.
that like they can't keep anything down.
Yeah,
like,
my whenever and my dogs don't throw up a lot.
Thank you, Emmett. Thank you. Somebody with some sense.
I would agree.
I went to go see my buddy Wyatt this weekend.
Wyatt, were you at where was I that I thought I saw you? Were you at La Peep this weekend, bud? I hope you were, because otherwise I'm just doing
were the princesses with them?
There were two little girls I think it was Wyatt. I saw him walking outside.
I saw them in all their glory. I had to go get some eggs. Listen, you talk about traumatized and first world problems. I was down to like 6 eggs.
Uh-oh.
And I know you're like, oh man, go to the store.
No, you got to get your special eggs.
I have a question though.
Okay.
And maybe I'll just text Wyatt. I feel like, why the tint of green?
Oh, good. It was Wyatt, not me. I wasn't just doing like a.
Why didn't you say hello?
Because he was walking outside. I didn't see him until he was like outside the restaurant.
Wyatt is handy too.
Is he?
His in-laws are moving to the house next door and he's fixing it up.
Oh, good for you, Wyatt.
Do you know how much crying I've been doing about like my countertops and my flipping bathroom? And here I got flipping DIY guy and it's. Wait, I said that right.
DIY.
Do it yourself. DIY. No, I said it yourself. Do it yourself.
DIY.
Do it. Oh, damn it. Sorry. I don't want you to go anywhere. Why? I want you to stay here. I feel like you're a legit hire and all that stuff.
That's a DEI. That's a different thing.
Damn it. I was playing the Val game with the kids. I'm all screwed up. I'm sorry. This is not a good 5 minutes for me. Anyway, I appreciate you, Wyatt. You can come help at my house anytime. Damn it.
I hope you had a nice breakfast with the fam, Wyatt. He says mom was with him.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's fair. What did my man Scott say? Thank you. Again, see, I'm not going to hold hands, but Scott and I are almost always in lockstep.
Listen, that's fine. I
don't even think you think it's debatable.
I disagree.
You're way more desensitized to one than the other. It is so gross.
Context
Ravi.
is important, though.
Gosh,
I'm used to poop where it's supposed to be. If there was all of a sudden a deuce on the floor in the studio, we've got a huge problem. I'm more used to people like, not that it happens a lot, but I think it's more normal for someone to throw up just kind of like in the wild, as opposed to just like random deuces.
Okay.
I think that's a fair point.
It's fine. Husker gnome. I wonder how the little ceramic. You ever seen gnomes like in the yard? My man's tweeting game is on point. How do gnomes tweet?
Probably a voice to text situation. Not a lot of fingers.
Kind of my points, my digits, full circle.
All right, that's the show for today.
Why he said YouTube is a great tool in doing projects. I couldn't even undo my garage clasp.
He says, "Who's deucing in the studio? Is it a dog or is it Austin?"
Might be Austin, constantly marking his territory.
That's the show for today. We'll be back tomorrow. Don't forget, go hang out at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. It's the best place to watch games if you're trying to watch these last regionals, seeing who's going to the Supers.
Yeah, he's starting about an hour.
Hurrdat Sports Bar has you covered. We'll be back tomorrow. More Hurrdat Sports Live.
See you. Have a good day. Love you.